I'm going to call the meeting of the Election Commission to order. The time is 1:10. Now I want to introduce the commissioners. There's myself, Joyce Anderson, as chair. Then to my right is Glennis Ireland. She is the vice chair. And then we have Cynthia Hawkins and Pat Abney and Suzanne Miles. So we have a full complement of committee members today. There are 5 of us. What we're going to do today is we are going to go over the results from the staff concerning the election and the rejected ballots and the reasons that ballot envelopes, and the reason that they were rejected, and we will be looking at them and making a preliminary determination. So this is our work session, and then we will move into the scheduled meeting at 5:30 to do the certification of the information that we've looked at during this work session. Also in front of you have an updated list of commission members, since we have some new ones, and then you also have a list of meetings that were attended and so forth and who attended those. So at this point, I think we will move forward and have the tally of the rejected ballot envelopes passed out. So what is being distributed right now is a canvas worksheet from the regular municipal election of April 2nd, 2019. Any ballots that were received, ballot envelopes that were received today have been processed. And if there were any issues with those, they would be on this list as well. So ballots as of through...
It is through today, Madam Chair.
As through within the last, the last time it was checked, that we have all of the ballots that have been received and have been processed. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through them one by one, and I think what I will do is have Barbara Jones, our municipal clerk, start with them, and she will explain the reason that this particular ballot envelope has been rejected and the reason, and then we can, if we need to, we will distribute the ballot envelopes through the commission to take a look at. So we're going to go ahead and start with reject code D, Barbara.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think, is that working, Amy? A little.
It sounds like it.
Okay, good.
We can turn the volume up on it if it's not.
Okay. Thank you very much, and the first thing that I have to do is say thank you to our election team. And, I couldn't do this without them. And Renata Hoskins is here. She is the review and resolution team lead, so she is the one that's handled most of this. She sends out the cure letters to people. She's handling all of the challenge ballots that come from the signature resolution team as well as from the sorter. So Renata will probably be answering some questions for you. We also have Amy Solberg, our election coordinator. Amy is the lead that puts together your books, answers your questions, works on your manual. So thanks for Amy for putting all this together. We also have our outreach and education and all-purpose team here. That would be Anna Campione and Samantha Harris. And they have covered in every way for us and also have really been the focus of our the outward focus to the public with all of our materials, social media, press releases, and things like that. So, of course, we couldn't do this without them and all of the other people that are supporting us. So, we will start with, So, we'll start with D, duplicate ballot voted. So the first ballot that we have one ballot under reject code D. This voter voted at an accessible vote center. We can tell that from this ballot because of the type of a sticker that's on the ballot. This voter also voted her mail ballot. So we'll pass that around for you to take a look at that.
And Barbara, I have a question. So this has also been determined that the first ballot was received prior to this one where she voted at an accessible vote center. Because we are counting the first ballot that was received.
Yes,
And that is,
this ballot was kicked out because the other one had already come through in the process.
okay, just making a clarification for that. Thank you. And I have one other question. And so the signatures did match?
On the original that she sent in, yes, the signature was verified, it was deemed good, and it went through. That ballot, the first ballot was fine, and that one was just kicked out because it was a duplicate. Are you asking about the signature?
The signature on this one.
That I honestly don't know. I think it was kicked out as a duplicate and never went through signature verification. I can check if you want.
I will leave that up to the commission. I'll pass this down.
That's a good question.
No, they don't need that. Nope, it wouldn't be. So that's the label that's actually issued. I'm sure this is the label that's on the windows. As opposed to one that was pre-printed. That's something.
And I guess the other thing I wanted to point out to the commission, which I think you pointed out, but I will state it again, is that you can tell that this has a sticker on it versus the ones that were printed by machine versus having an actual sticker put on.
Yeah, and they had the stickers at the accessible vote center.
So the second category is duplicate void ballot package. So as you can see from the worksheet, this code is used when the voter received a replacement ballot package, but voted the original voided package. Now, this one is probably just the opposite.
So this one, so what happened with this one most likely is that they requested a replacement ballot. Before they got it, they got their original, they voted it, sent it in, then realized that when the replacement came that they should have voted the replacement, so they went ahead and voted that as well. This first one would have been kicked out because it had that void ballot package ID, and then the second one, the replacement came through and it was good and got processed.
So, Madam Chair, this is one of those slight differences where the vote, this was the first one received. However, it was void. So we still count the first valid ballot package received. This one was considered not valid because it had been voided because she requested the replacement.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't understand what is going on here.
I guess there's a question as to what happened here with the barcode. It was damaged? Okay.
And even if the barcode is damaged, it's okay. We can just put a sticker on it like we did with the other one.
Okay.
Madam Chair, the next category is E, ballot return envelope empty. There are 7 envelopes in this category that had empty ballot envelopes.
And by empty we mean it had no ballot in it. Sometimes they included other items.
Instructions, sleeves, notes.
There's a question down here.
Yes, Suzanne?
Madam Chair, I was just curious, and this is idle curiosity, since you have 7 empty ballot envelopes, are there any ever just plain old ballots in your box that aren't in envelopes?
Yes, through the chair, there are, and you'll see that as a separate category where we have, or is that the next one? Oh, thank you very much. It's the next category, E1, and there's 37 in that category. Now, those ones are a little bit different because remember, they didn't come with an envelope. These came as an envelope in the mail or in a Dropbox, but they were sealed. The next category, those usually ended up in a ballot Dropbox, and there was nothing with them. There was no way to match those up to a voter or an envelope.
What happens to them?
They are right here in this category waiting for you to reject them.
We will take them, Suzanne, we will take them up after we're done with this one.
Very well.
You'd never know who this was anyway.
Your handwriting. It's so weird. What is it?
It's very interesting.
So this one looks like it came from the university.
No, she's the one that's on the list back on everything.
Does it have City Hall sticker on it?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That came up.
So it came without a ballot.
Yeah, so they must have issued a question ballot, but she never put the.
Right, that's what it looks like.
Okay.
So that is at City Hall, not here.
Mm-hmm. Not here, over there.
City Hall.
What was this yellow paper stuff here? That's the question ballot envelope.
Boy. What's the message?
Here's the rest of it.
Did you see the note on there?
Yeah.
This is written on there. Number 6, human trafficking or something. Closed by, that's on feedback. Thank you. Any questions from commissioners?
No.
Okay, I will hand those 7 back to you, Barbara.
Okay, the next category, as Suzanne led us to, is E1. It's ballot returned without return envelope, unable to identify voters. So as you can see on the other categories, the name and barcode with the voter ballot package ID is either in a label or it's sprayed on by our printer. And so because these ones don't have a name or a barcode or anything, we can't provide them to a voter. We don't know if it is a valid voter. So these ones were in the Dropbox, and so there's 37 of them that we believe need to be rejected.
That's how we read.
And I understand that there is one in here that I had talked to someone about earlier, where they had actually just taken an X-Acto knife and cut out all the identifying information on the envelope, and still returned their ballot, which is has the ballot in it. However, we don't know who it is, and since we don't know who it is, we can't count the vote because we don't know if that person, maybe voted once or twice or whatever.
Ballot voted? Probably. That really wouldn't make a difference. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
No votes.
No votes.
No votes on the ballot.
See? Yeah.
So the person was making a statement, but we don't know who that person was. So I'll pass that down. And I have a question for Barbara for you. Do you know if this number here is less or more than last year off the top of your head?
Yes, Madam Chair, when we went through the numbers, it is less. It is not substantially less. It is probably the same or a little bit percentage less than the turnout, because we had more votes last year, so it is less. But I don't think remarkably less. So I think there are some people who do not understand the instructions or do not want to have their name identified with the ballot. We do have some, I think, pretty robust procedures for people who do not want to sign the ballot envelope. And what that is, they can come into an accessible vote center, they can put an X on the line of the ballot envelope. The workers check ID and sign the envelope and note that they've checked ID. The person must sign the register, which is no different than at a polling location. And then we still put a label on the envelope, and we have done a couple of labels without the name. The label still has the ballot package ID, so we know what the name is, but it doesn't contain the name if the voter doesn't want it to. And then we can process it because we need to know that the voter voted. So we have set up that procedure. We have had some voters who have voted that way, and it seems to work for them.
Okay. The interesting thing that I'm noting is quite a few of them took their I voted sticker. So they said they voted, but basically they didn't want anybody to know who they were, so. Interesting. I do want to make a quick tidbit. I want you to know that I forgot to take my I voted sticker off, and I had already sealed the envelope. So mine was one of the ones that came in with an I voted sticker because I forgot to do that as I was trying to get that in the envelope.
Oh, mine did too.
However, my husband did use his, or take his off, so I used his.
Well, Madam Chair, we saved those security sleeves for future use.
I understand that.
I was going to say
Just
something.
couldn't believe I forgot to take that I voted sticker off.
I deliberately didn't. Yeah, they didn't take it. This one, yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure you've noticed, I've seen too, that a lot of them did not take the tab off the top.
Tape and tab, so they obviously weren't reading the instructions.
So,
Here's another one.
It's a forgiving thing.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at least it's comforting, and I'm talking loud, so I'm not using the mic, but it's comforting to know that there's less in the long run. So the instructions are helpful, and I think that you're always going to find someone who either doesn't read the instructions or maybe forgets.
Well,
But I don't quite understand how they would not include that, but.
I have an observation.
So basically, what's going to happen is those individuals, these individuals that voted will now be given credit on the state system for voting. So if they ever want to pull up their voting record, they're going to realize that they didn't get credit for voting.
Suzanne has a
Query. I'm not sure how Alaska works in that respect, because some of the states, if your voting record does not show that you voted, you're going to be yanked from the rolls. I'm not sure how we work this.
Our purge process here, I don't know, that's a state question. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think anybody here can answer that.
Well, okay.
But I do hear you. I know there are some states that say if you haven't voted in the last 4 elections, they put you in an inactive status. I don't know what goes on here, but I think
The
I
other
do.
comment is, somehow or other, there needs to be, this kind of doesn't have to do with business, but there's a lot of resistance to this process because people are afraid that they're going to have their vote, their signature seen by someone. There is no way that anybody's signature can be seen by anybody.
And I think,
To show it to them, you know?
well, and I think that that's pretty much taken care of by using the Dropbox versus putting it through the mail.
You can't convince these hardcores
So-
that does take care of it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We had a big, long argument on Facebook about this, as you may remember.
Barbara, is there anything you want to add?
I think that I would like Anna to add something. Do you know what the number is?
For,
Dropboxes?
oh my goodness, I don't, do you?
I bet Sam does.
It's higher.
Yeah.
Sure.
Over 30,000.
Okay.
Over 30,000 for Dropboxes? That's wonderful.
So the Dropbox total was more than the mail total.
Unlike last year.
Yeah.
And so the Dropbox total went up from last year, is what I understood from what I heard on the news as well, which came from your office, I'm assuming, so. Okay,
31,439.
okay. 31,000
439.
from the Dropbox? Okay, thank you. We'll let the rest of the commissioners look at those envelopes.
What I want to do is count them.
Okay. Glennis is going to count them when they come back.
Okay. Thank you.
Unless someone comes to us with Worksession or the Canvas. The numbers of the results aren't really published anywhere.
It would appear that,
Pat, you have a question?
yes, it would appear that there's one area of town that has a lot more of these votes than the other. A lot of one ballot style. There's some from South Anchorage, but there's a lot from Dunbar's area.
So a lot from a particular area?
Which is kind of interesting.
So Barbara, you might look into that. And, okay.
And you ran unopposed, so. That's interesting because you ran unopposed.
But it does make you wonder if there might have been some misinformation at that community council or
Right.
something like that
That's
we
true.
could
That we could
address.
iron out, you know. True. Well,
And I
how
do know
many
the
on
community
the
councils
legal?
did send out information regarding the voting.
I tried to tell them, but I can't work.
Want me to come?
Not issue, but the voting process.
Give you some?
So how many did you come up with?
36, I probably still got.
Okay, they were one short, they're gonna recount.
Okay.
I could make a mistake too.
I lost count.
Here, give those to me. Here, Glennis, you take the ones that weren't in an envelope. I have 15.
And there's 15 and there's 7, so that's correct.
That's right, 15, 15, and 7 is 37. Okay. So we have 37.
Hopefully you won't compliment me.
Okay, so we have looked at the reject code E1. Now we're into G.
All right, so with the Gs, we probably won't pass those out because there's 198 of these. And these are ballots that were rejected because the voter failed to provide identifying information. And when we mailed the ballots, there are voters who are in a condition code ID as designated by the state of Alaska. So those are voters who have registered to vote but have not provided ID to a registrar. So the first time those voters vote, they have to provide ID. So we had a special set of instructions that you may have seen that went out to all of these voters. Your instructions, if you're RG, it's just black. The heading is black. But for voters where ID was required, the instructions were in red. We tried to make it super clear that ID was required to be returned in these envelopes. In addition, Renata sent cure letters to all of these voters telling them that they had to provide ID for their ballot to count. And I bet you got quite a few back.
So there were about 252 that did not initially have ID in there. We have 198 left, so 50 some.
50.
Madam Chair,
54.
54, yeah, something like
Okay.
that.
Question?
question through the chair.
Yes?
My housemate was voting for the first time. She did not receive any of those kind of instructions.
Only if you had registered online and did not provide ID. If she was if she registered to vote and there was a voter registrar, I'm a voter registrar, so in other words, if I took her registration and she showed me her ID and I signed as a voter registrar, she would not have needed the letter.
Okay, thank you.
That one I can answer.
Great.
Turned up once, just 25 counts, so.
The 25, okay. I think to be on the safe side, I think we should count them.
Go for it.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over here. You have them in stacks of 25.
So the upturned one is number 25.
The upturned one is number 25, okay. Glennis, pass that down.
If you were
Pass that down.
count, so
It should be 25, so pass that down.
25.
25?
Okay.
This
This is mine.
And that's yours, and this is mine, and then we'll do those when we're done with these. Okay. And so in other words, what these would do is these were shot out when they went through the machine, stating that they needed the identification part to go along with it. Okay, just wanted to clarify that for the record. Barbara, don't you have something?
That is correct. And then you can see that these envelopes are opened. So these go into a challenge bin for ID required. And they go to Renata, and Renata opens them to see if there's ID in them. For the ones that there was ID in them, then they go through again for
They go to
signature
verification, their code gets changed to good, and then they go back through the sorter.
Okay. Does that identification then go to the state, or it's just that we need it at this point and it's now?
We shred it. Really?
Okay, you shred the identification. Okay, thank you.
I had 23 in my file.
Let me count.
I thought I had 27.
You probably got some more.
No, I can't recall.
You had 25?
This is correct.
And I had 25?
This one's correct.
Okay, here.
Yeah, I'll do it for the good.
This one was good.
Yeah.
Okay, this is 25. Yep. I need to count that.
That's correct. That has 25. Okay. That's good. And 25?
Yes.
Oops. And this one has 25?
Correct. That one's got
And that one has 25?
yes.
Okay, I seem to only have had 22 here, and it looks like I should have had 23 with the 98 on there, so.
If you double check if that's all correct, there was one voter that came in at 12:20 and showed ID, so he might be the missing person.
I only have 22.
Okay, then that's the voter that
So it
came
should
in
be
after.
197. She said Renata's telling us that they had a voter come in and provided identification, so that one was taken out. So we're going to change that total to 197. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Madam Chair, the next category is M, multiple ballots in one envelope. This code is used when there is more than one ballot in the voter's envelope. If it's obvious what's happened, we would provide replacement ballots, but if it is not as obvious, we can't do that. This involved a total of 6 voters and 3 envelopes. And I think there's one in here that you may want to provide further explanation on. Is that right?
Yeah, there is. So these are found at letter opening, so they've already gone through the process. These two have absolutely, we have no way of linking them to any voter, and the ballots are voted differently. This voter, we have the envelope. I did not get a response to a phone call. It came in after Election Day, so replacement ballots weren't an option, but the ballots are voted identically. So one of them, if one of them belongs to this voter, it doesn't matter which one we counted. So there would be a possibility, if you decided, of considering counting one of these ballots for the voter whose envelope this is. That's your decision.
And then you can see in the note here, I've got 6 voters and 3 envelopes. If you chose, we could change it to 5 voters and 2 envelopes. We'd have an extra envelope for one voter, which we'd make a duplicate or something like that to put it in, but we just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, so So I do have a question. So the voter whose name is imprinted on here, that signature does not match that voter's name.
The signature matches the reference signature for that voter in our database.
Okay. And so the other ballot that's in here, we have no idea who that belongs to.
No, and there
But
are-
you're saying that they were both voted exactly the same, which is, okay, I just wanted to clarify that the signature matched, because I didn't catch that the first time.
I
Okay.
didn't say it.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, are there 2 residents listed at that address?
3
Oh, okay.
registered voters.
Okay, I'm going to pass this one down. I don't know if anybody wants to look at it and double check the votes on there. I'll let you do that one. If you
It's
want,
open at the bottom.
if you want to double check on that for the votes, and I'll take a look at these 2 and make sure that the votes are identical. And if the 2 of you want to look at that, since we usually have 2 people do that. And then we can have a discussion as to whether we feel we should count that person's ballot since the votes, let's say they are, if they are identical.
Okay. Oh, sort of the wrong side.
That's okay.
That's okay. A no. Prop 8, yes. Prop 9, yes. Prop 10, no. No. Prop 11, no. No. Zalatel.
So Renata, on this one, this did come in a ballot envelope, this one?
Yes.
Yes.
And so, but we don't know whose that was and,
no.
okay, all right.
It was separated when letter opening does it. They separate the ballot envelopes
Yes.
and the ballots and.
And by that time, they were separated?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's true for both of those.
Okay.
I think we should count one of them. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Glennis and Cindy, were those votes
They were
identical on both of them?
identical.
Okay, if you want to pass that down for the rest of the team. And this one was separated at, in case they weren't listening, separated at ballot opening and found that there were 2 ballots in the envelope, but they don't know which envelope it came in because, of course, it was separated at that time.
Okay, so, and this would make a difference because they have no way of knowing who it was. So it's unfortunate. It's too bad. Yeah, really too bad.
So this is similar to that other one.
There's
Okay, if you
no
want-
sleeve, right?
Yeah, right.
No sleeve.
That is the sleeve.
No, I mean no.
No ballot envelope, no. This one, it came in no sleeve, and so they just put it in a blank. Renata just put it in an envelope so that we would know that it came without the sleeve, but there were 2
Oh, okay.
in there, 2 in an envelope.
Different voting.
And that was the other thing I was going to say, that the voting is different on those ballots. Okay,
So Madam Chair, I have a question.
yes.
These were not caught then at the machine?
Barbara can answer that.
Through the chair, the machine is not calibrated so finely. Because otherwise, it just rejected too many ballots with instructions, ballots with stickers. So it's not as fine to identify 2 ballots.
Okay.
And if I can say, it was also my understanding from last year, and I'm sure it's the same this year, is that even if they left the I voted sticker like I did, that would have thrown it out as well. So that would have created a lot of ballot envelopes that were rejected. Okay, now that the commission has looked at these, I would like to open up for discussion the one that we do have an identifying individual on, and that there were 2 identical ballots in the envelope. And I believe that the commission's premise has always been to count every vote possible that we can. So I'm going to throw that out as a comment and then open this up for discussion as to whether we should count one of these ballots and give credit to the individual whose name is on the envelope. So I'm open for discussion. Glennis.
I would like to recommend that we count one of those ballots.
And credit the voter?
Yes.
Okay.
I would, did you move that or?
Well, we're just at a work session, so,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying
No, I
that,
agree
you know,
with that.
we need to have this discussion prior to our canvas session.
Okay.
And of course, we can change at that time, but the work session would be having this discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also agree, because the ballots have, at least the envelope identifies the voter, and they were voted the same. I think one of them should be counted.
And Pat, you're in agreement as well? And Suzanne?
I also.
Okay, well, we'll have this discussion later at the original, at the canvas meeting, but I just wanted to bring it up for discussion now before there were any questions for Barbara or any of the staff. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next category is MOA, not registered in Anchorage, and we have 8 voters who were not registered in Anchorage. You can see that they're all question ballot envelopes, so they came from our accessible vote centers. Voting a question ballot, of course, the floppy, the top of the question ballot envelope, goes to the state of Alaska, and so after this election, their registration will be changed to Anchorage. And there are 8 voters in this category.
Okay.
Okay.
This person was registered in Kotzebue, so of course they couldn't register on election day. Okay.
But they will be registered now, so.
Right, right, in Anchorage, okay.
Thank you.
This person was registered in Barrow.
I wonder if those are the street people that send me out.
He could have been, yeah. Registered in Barrow. Registered in Galcana. That's Priscilla's.
Oh, from the first one,
What's the date on that? Oh, it was the 26th, it's the 28th, they're all different days.
right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it couldn't have been.
Let me check. Big Lake. And Palmer.
No precinct number on this question, maybe it was done in.
When they do, Madam Chair, when these question ballots are done at the
ABC.
ABC, are they required to put a precinct number on here?
Are they required to what? I didn't hear you.
Are they required to put a precinct number down at the bottom? I wouldn't think so.
They are? Barbara, are they required to put a precinct number on the bottom of these challenge envelopes.
They don't necessarily have precinct number.
I wondered, yeah.
Our database that they have has voter address, and it has the ballot package ID and the ballot style number. If you knew what the ballot style number was, you could guess precinct.
Yeah.
They also have maps.
I was
but-
curious because they're not all precinct.
Okay.
So those are only for Anchorage registered voters. Remember, if these voters would not be in the database, which is why they voted question, and we wouldn't know what precinct that was. They don't have the state of Alaska voter registration database.
Thank you.
Some of them have, and some don't.
Is that a security code over there?
Hmm?
Is that guy a security code?
Mm-hmm. He was here on election night.
I didn't
Do you remember seeing him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't know why they would do this.
Apply for this, I wonder. In case you
Are you having questions down there or just reviewing?
They're probably just quibbles. It's for differences in the way that they fill things out. So
Oh,
we always
well.
went- because some of them have not registered, not on register, and we think, well, that's true, but they also didn't say why they wanted to do the question ballot. There was no further check on the little list here. Just that they're not on the ballot. We got that. Did they move? Are they a resident or what?
Through the chair,
That's
it
not our
doesn't
job.
matter.
Yeah.
They are not on the register. There's no further
That's not our business.
questions that need to be asked. If someone isn't on the register, it would be very difficult for our accessible vote center workers to make further determinations. They are instructed to tell voters to call the hotline 243-VOTE, and people here at the election center could possibly help further. We have lots of state of Alaska information. They can encourage voters to contact the state of Alaska to find out, but we don't ask our accessible vote center workers to give out more information. We're a little bit worried that it could be inconsistent.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Suzanne?
I need a review here on widget code, and we changed that total to 5.
Nope, this is just a
Oh,
work
that-
session.
this is work-
Work session, we have to wait for the canvas.
Sorry.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the next category is category R, which was a new category for you last year. It is voter return ballot envelope and asked to be removed from the voter roll. There's 11 ballot envelopes in this category, and we would like you to reject those. One of them we found that was most interesting is one of the voters voted one of those ballots that they returned. It has to be moved from the roll.
That's interesting.
Okay, Barbara, also, is this number less than last year? I know last year we did have a couple individuals. Do you think that the number, first of all, has the number increased?
No, Madam Chair.
Oh, I thought maybe it might have because of the PFD registration. Okay, so it's pretty similar to last year. Okay.
Yes, Madam Chair, it is. Renata and I separated these types of this group, and the reason that we separated them is because 3 of them are the voter requested removal from the voter roll. The others are someone returned the ballot envelopes and said moved out of state, so that, or that somebody no longer lives here. So those ones are slightly different. It's somebody else requested that they be removed from the voter rolls. And so that, we thought we would leave those as a decision to you. We'll provide the information to the state of Alaska, and it's ultimately up to the state to decide to remove them. But they did process through the Fluent system, and we need to list them somewhere. It doesn't have to be in this category, but somewhere so that we can make an effort on our ballot envelope summary totals to equal our total tabulated ballots.
Okay, I'll start with these and then we'll pass them down. So these are ones that the voter, there's a note inside that the
Requested.
voter requested. And they're sealed.
Oh, they should be open.
So it's got tape on it.
Yeah, that's how they're sealed up again. Break the
You
tape.
can pop it.
And get a paper bag.
This one says, I now live in Florida, remove my name, and the person signed it, so pretty obvious that they
want to be removed.
They want to be removed, and that's an obvious one. I'm gonna stick that one out and pass that one down.
Mail from Tallahassee.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did that ask to be removed.
There must be another note in this one.
Returning no longer a
Oh.
registered voter in Alaska. I live in Ohio.
Okay. And they signed the envelope. Okay. So this one says that they live in Ohio. Oh, I don't know if I should read this one. This one says, you idiots. Why are you wasting taxpayers' dollars to mail ballots to people who don't live in the state? I have not lived in Alaska for 2 years. Get with the program for, and I won't say what it says, no wonder Alaska is going broke. Can't handle finances. Okay, they want to be removed from the files. Okay, here we go.
It's up to them to notify us to move, that they've moved.
That's right.
So let's send an idiot note back.
There is, I don't know if you know, I think we may have talked about it last year, that on the National Change of Address form, there's a box on it that says notify the State Division of Elections that I filed this address change form. Well, the State of Alaska Division of Elections doesn't participate in that. And it would require state law change for them to participate, but we would like them to do that because I think that would help voters who fill out those national change of address forms with the post office and make an assumption when they check that box that the Division of Elections has been notified. You're in shock, Glennis.
I am.
Well, she's moving to Wisconsin. It seems to me they should fit right in.
So Alaska does not participate. Well,
Can we do something about getting that changed?
I mean, could the election commission make a motion or whatever and forward that on to the State Division of Elections, or would that have to go through the assembly to do that?
No,
Well-
the legislature.
Through the chair, I think you could do a couple of things. Maybe you could have a meeting and you could discuss it, and then you want to do a resolution. And you could prepare a resolution that says, we make this recommendation. You could send it to the assembly and the legislature. I
Yeah.
don't think you're prohibited. One of the things that you could do is ask the assembly to make that part of the assembly's legislative program, and then the assembly could make those recommendations to the Anchorage caucus to possibly have someone go forward with that legislation. I think there are a couple of other ones with vote by mail that you might want to consider as well, and one of them is the postage stamp issue. You know, it's illegal for a nonprofit to give someone a postage stamp. So, yes, it is.
Okay, well, I will go ahead and finish the rest of these.
Madam Chair, Renata and I were having a little sidebar when you were looking at the other ones, and one of the things that we could do if the commission would like we have the 3 that very specifically the individual asked to be removed. For the other 8, they've been run through the Fluent system, so what we could do is we think we could delete those ballot envelopes from the Fluent system, and then we could just put them in the returned mail, and then the state would get those, and they would be in the returned mail that the state has that says this person doesn't live here anymore, and the state possibly could address them that way. We're running all of the returned mail next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then we're going to give the data file to the state, and then the state will take what action it can with forwarding addresses and undeliverables.
Barbara, could you explain what the Fluent system is? Am I just not familiar with it? I'm not sure what it is.
You are. I just probably shouldn't use that name. We have created a new word that's called fluencing.
Okay.
It's a verb.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. The mail sorter and signature verification system was bought by Bell and Howell. It says Bell and Howell on the side. It's a Bell and Howell mail sorter system. The signature verification system is also part of the Bell and Howell system. They were bought by a company called Fluence. So it is now the Fluence system. So what I'm trying to tell you is that those envelopes were run through the mail sorter. So it has been reported that those 11 people voted. The 11 people that someone is saying they don't live here anymore, they were reported as voting. So it's the register. So the register has recorded them as voting. So now we need to go back into the system and delete that they voted, and instead put them in the returned mail, and then we'll process those through the system, but in a separate file. Instead of in the I voted file, they'll be in the returned mail file. And both of those go to the state. And then the state, of course, updates the voter registration system with people who voted so that your voter record is up to date. But they're also going to update the records with people who have moved and have forwarding addresses.
So basically the ones that were returned that you're talking about really were returned by the post office versus an individual. So they were returned by the post office with either a sticker saying moved, unable to forward, or with a forwarding address. Is that what I'm understanding?
I think that is correct for the most part. However, I think Amy might have even gotten one today. If someone scrawled across it, return to sender, it did come from the post office. We tried to pull those out of the buckets with thousands of envelopes, but there were some that we missed. And these ones were missed and went through and then rejected and ended up in Renata's challenged materials.
Okay.
Were there ballots in any of them?
There's obviously the one woman who voted and then wrote us the nice little letter. There are some people are returning the ballots unvoted because they want to return all the election materials.
Okay.
Some of them just have the note.
So
did we find them in an envelope opening?
So they actually come out in different places.
Yes.
So some of them, if there's nothing obvious on the outside of the envelope, they will make it all the way over to envelope opening before they're found. Most of them, signature verification will see that it says on the envelope moved out of state or something. So most of them are caught at signature verification.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pass these down for you to look at, and then I have, we'll open it up for discussion about these 8 versus the 3 that the voter actually signed, because I have some comments as well. And Barbara, I have a question. So on this one here, this individual signed his name and everything saying the person no longer lives here. That really isn't sufficient to remove someone from the polls? It has to be the voter signature?
I do not know the answer to that. That is a state of Alaska question.
Okay.
And this is what was received upside down.
Did you hear my question?
I'm sorry, no.
This one, actually, someone else signed and said that the person doesn't live here. My question to Barbara was, does the state accept this, or does it actually have to be the voter? And she said she doesn't know. So I'm going to say that before I pass it down in case you have the same question I did.
I should imagine that it should be the voter. At least you have some information.
This one also has somebody signing on there that they moved. Well, this person evidently kept all the ballot material but just sent the envelope back saying they didn't vote. Okay.
Or a souvenir.
But it still doesn't validate it. I mean, that voter has to do that himself. This one is empty.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Well, that makes it valid, though, that you can follow
Oh,
up.
just follow up. And then the other, there was one other envelope that had a phone number there.
Yeah, I see that.
Some people are pretty conscientious.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it seems to me that this, I mean, this, I guess this is a later discussion, but it seems to me that this would come under the same heading as people submitting death notices to take people off of the roll. How could this come from the voter?
Well, I understand that, but a death notice is an official document. This is
Well,
just
right,
somebody saying that
an
they
official
moved.
document for something like this too.
You mean with someone signing it?
Well, to notify that they're out, that they moved. It seems to me that they should have to submit that themselves.
Right, what I'm saying is, right, I think, we don't know what the state requires,
Maybe
but,
they could disown, you know.
but, I think that, well, let's pass these down and we'll have discussion when you've looked at them all.
Was there an envelope on this one?
No.
No.
This one doesn't have an envelope.
It's one is printed and the other one is signed. It's the same thing.
Well,
This is print. That's it.
yes, it is.
So you sign it in our places. Is this a book?
You know who this is? Oh, is that, yeah.
There we go. These phone numbers.
One's from Ballot.
Okay, once everyone has had a chance to look at them, we'll have a discussion.
get there. Okay, look at this. This is nothing. Oh. This was not in the envelope, right? Is this not in the envelope?
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
Did you find the uncles and the aunts?
No, the mom. No, it's too early, I think.
Yeah.
Move around yet.
Between my husband.
Oh, Eugene.
Well.
Okay, once you send them back, we'll just go through them one by one without
Okay.
identifying information. Since we're not allowed to talk about the voter's name.
Well, you know what?
Just remember, you're not allowed to talk about the voter's name. We're going to do this without identification.
Is this everything now?
Okay.
2,
That's all he has.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
And then we'll talk about this now, and then, of course, we're going to take any action at the canvas meeting. But this one here has the one that was in the regular envelope has identifying information in here and so forth. Personally, I feel that should be going over to the state because they can follow up on that. So that might be something we'll think about. I see nods. We'll kind of put that one off to the side. This one said she no longer lives in Alaska. I guess I don't look at it the same as providing identifying information.
Yeah, I agree.
So Barbara, my understanding is that all the ones that came through that were not delivered for some reason or another are the ones that you're going to be looking at later on. Just, you said, how many were we talking about?
Oh, I think there's about 40,000 in there.
I was going to say 30. Okay, 40.
Yeah. So those are in all different postures. They would be undeliverable by the post office. They would be returned from the post office with a forwarding address. They have, the state has asked us to separate them by returned undeliverable with the forwarding address out of state. So we have those separated. Then we have ones that are returned that says, no, this person doesn't live here anymore. So it would be the person that received it at their home and wrote return to sender.
Right.
And those ones are in there. And is that about it?
I think that's about
Yeah,
it.
that's probably all of the categories of returns, but there's
Okay.
probably about 40,000 of them.
Okay. That answers my question then, because this one would be similar to what was written on envelopes that are in that 40,000 you're talking about. So I don't feel that that should be going in this category.
Okay.
So that would be, similar to return by the post office.
I agree with that.
This one, let me pull out another one here. This one says no longer lives here. To me is similar to the one we were just talking about. This one says moved out of state, which is similar to the one we were just talking about.
Same thing.
And this one says that that person no longer lives there, even though it was and it was on the envelope. I think that should go in that pile. Moved, not a resident, that should go in that pile. I don't look at them as being that the voter's asking. This one here, this was written on the inside, but it's similar to what would be on the outside. So I don't see any difference to this one either.
And there isn't any contact information
No, this
on the
one just
outside
said
of it?
moved, no, this
Okay.
one just said moved out of state. Okay, so those are different. And then this one does have contact information on it, so I kind of look at it to go with this one over here, which would then go over the pile that are asking for follow-up, whereas these are just similar to the post office ones.
Okay.
I
So,
have one question, Madam
Yes.
Chairman. Was one of the envelopes that's in your hand, did they also have a phone number below the person who is adding a comment? Is there one that has a phone number?
This one with the,
well, the guy that signed it had a phone number.
Right, I didn't know if that was a traceable or something that could be given to the state to
Well, I think
follow up on.
that sounds like it's the phone number for the person who said no longer lives here versus the phone number for the person whose name was on the ballot.
True, but it
But
is
those were
more-
ones with the names on the ballot, that gave forwarding information for the names on the ballot.
I didn't know what kind of due diligence the state would be doing, if they would be able to follow up with that phone number. Okay.
Through the chair, the state does not follow up with phone numbers. What they're doing and why they want the data download and why they want it specified by out of state is they're going to mail a postcard.
Okay.
And they're coming to the Ethics and Elections Committee meeting in April. It's the last Wednesday in April. And we're going to talk about the purge process. But remember, the purge process in state law requires voter contact, and their voter contact, it's my understanding, is they want a postcard or something mailed to that voter, so they have a record that they mailed it, and then they're looking to get it back, and then that return, when they get something returned undeliverable, it's part of their record of how they move that voter to the
Okay.
purge status.
Okay.
So I'm not positive a
All
phone
right.
number that they would return phone calls.
Okay. Well, I think for our purposes, where it says that, they asked to be removed from the voter roll, I think that we could take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them and leave 5.
Okay.
I don't know if that's something we can do at the work session or we have to wait for the canvass. I would say this is not something that would require a motion at the work session. I mean, at the canvass. But I'm gonna turn over parliamentary procedure to Barbara to answer that.
I agree, Madam Chair. Here's what's happening. These are called preliminarily challenged, and that's what Renata and I do. The code says that we present you with the preliminarily challenged ballots. We're asking you to make these decisions. But the work session, you can do whatever you want. You don't need a motion. You can direct us. We are going to walk away whenever we're done, and we're going to revise this. So we can revise this to 5, and we'll take care of the other 6. You can tell us to do that, and it will be done.
I guess I agree with that. The other one that we had was more of a decision by the commission when it had 2 ballots. This is more procedure and process versus making an actual decision regarding a ballot. So I would like to move this one down to 5.
Okay.
And take those out.
So 6 of the 11.
And these would be,
We're going to go down to
right, okay, those,
another
okay.
category.
So we're going to change 11 to 5. That's more of a procedure thing than a call by the commission to accept or reject a voted ballot.
Yeah,
Okay.
they need to be categorized as maybe.
All right, thank you, Barbara. So we'll move on.
You're very welcome, Madam Chair. The next category is T, voter registered too late. This is when a voter updated his or her registration after the 30-day cutoff. This person was attempted to register in Anchorage, but they are registered in Soldotna on the cutoff date, March 3rd, and they updated their registration on March 12th. But it's still too late for our election.
Okay.
Straightforward.
Okay.
So no zip.
Well, we didn't.
Especially if it's a question ballot, it wouldn't have been on the roll.
See, they didn't.
Yep. That's true. But they have a birthday, so we don't have to worry about that.
Okay, thank you. We're on to V.
The next category, is B, ballot received too late. I admit I was shocked when we got to this category, and I checked and double checked, and it is true that most of these were received at a Dropbox, and there was 20 at a Dropbox. And our Dropbox workers have red bags, just like you had when you worked at a polling location. And they have cards that they give to the voter that says, you arrived too late, you can go to the post office, be sure to get it hand canceled. But remember, everybody still gets to vote, and if they insist on voting, we take them. And so there are 20 people who dropped off at the Dropbox too late, and there's one person that arrived at the inaccessible vote center
No,
too late.
that's an electronic vote, and the
Oh,
email
sorry about
arrived
that.
at 8:04 p.m.
Okay. So we'll pass those out for you.
So there must have been somebody there to receive.
Yes, they have instruction.
This is the first one I'm sending down is an email when they came in at 8:04.
Okay. Wow.
Pokey server.
It's on the inside with the other.
Because everything's still showing.
Yeah.
Okay, you can see at the top where they're from. It says DIM. These are diamond. I'll pass the diamond ones first down. And we'll also be counting them at the end. So. Okay, these next ones are from Eagle River. A few more from Eagle River. You want to put those in there too? Okay.
It is. But they don't necessarily have an option to go to the airport, you know. It's not like they-
And I just,
But they were in Eagle River. That's where
Okay. Okay, it's at a Dropbox.
Yep.
Nothing What a shame. Probably rushed home and did it quickly and they were too late.
Those that came in from Eagle River that were too late, how were they delivered or what?
This was at a Dropbox.
Yes, at one of the drop boxes where there were people standing there to close the slot at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So stupid.
The rest of these are from 4 different places.
Thank you. It's just explaining.
So Barbara, as you explained, they were told at the drop boxes that they could still go to the post office and get them canceled.
Yes, Madam Chair, we have a card that we give all of those voters that says, you have arrived after 8 o'clock p.m., the drop box is closed, you may wish to consider going to the post office. We don't specify the airport post office because we don't want to mislead people and we don't give a time, but we do tell them that their vote is valid if it's postmarked on election day, and it says on the card to get it hand canceled. And the only place you can do that is at the airport post office. I think it is possible that some people feel like, well, it doesn't matter. I don't want to drive to the airport post office. I just want to get it in. And so it's possible that that might be what's going on.
Okay.
We don't know.
Question.
Suzanne?
When we actually were running polling places, the polls closed at 8 o'clock, and everybody knew that, the doors closed. But there were people standing in line, and they were permitted to vote if they were already inside. So how is this different?
That happened at the drop-off boxes as well.
Okay.
So the drop-off box people were instructed that, I don't know if you had a card, but maybe Barbara can explain further, but they were, anyone who was there at 8 o'clock, whether there were, whether there was one person there or 20 people there or 20 cars, they were all allowed to put their ballot in. But it was after that last person, after 8 o'clock, they could not.
All right, thank you.
Is that correct, Barbara?
You are correct, Madam Chair. The Dropbox workers have another card that says last car in line.
Oh, okay.
And so at 8 o'clock p.m., they give the card to the last car in line. And then as the cars come up, they get the card. They know which car was last in line. Any cars after that would be too late.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if anybody else counted, but I did verify there were 21.
Yes, we can let this in.
Okay. Counted 3 different times.
I have a question.
Glennis, you have a
though.
question?
Why aren't they told to go to the airport post office?
Well, through the chair, there could be an earthquake. There could be a labor strike. There could be lots of things going on, and we do not want to mislead voters. Our workers are instructed. They can, if people ask, well, where is the post office open? I don't care if people say, well, the airport post office may be open, but people can Google it. Most people in Anchorage know the post office is open. But I will tell you that I bet about 90% of the people in this town believe the post office is open till midnight. It is not. It is only open till 11. And so there are lots of things like that. If someone said, oh, the post office is open till midnight, it's not. Then it's our fault that someone didn't get their ballot postmarked by Election Day. And so our recommendation is not to, it's the voter's responsibility to get to either the ABC or the Dropbox by 8 p.m. If they don't get there by 8 p.m., it's their obligation to get it postmarked by Election Day. It's kind of a bonus. We don't want to be put in a situation where our workers are making promises to voters that aren't true.
Okay, thank you.
Next category is a big one. I think we've got our W's. We have 291 ballots that were postmarked after Election Day.
And Barbara, if I can ask, what is this ratio and compared to what it was last year, if you know off a little bit? Less, more?
I do not recall. When I did the report, I updated the report, but this category I did not update from last year, so I just do not remember at all, Madam Chair. I can go check for you while you're looking though, all right?
Okay. Okay.
For counting purposes, from here there are 25s, the bundles are counted separately. You can take it all apart and count them 25s.
Okay. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask the commission, are you okay with looking at certain sections, or do you feel you need to look at, every commissioner needs to look at every one? I'm going to leave it to the commission.
I believe sections would be fine.
Yeah, I think we
Are
could work in
sections
We
good,
should
or,
divide it.
pardon?
I think we should divide it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
sections then.
Can I just point out these here? So there's a set of ballots here.
Okay, Renata's going to say something here.
So there's a set of ballots here that
You gotta
has-
use the mic. You gotta.
There right, I have it here.
Low voice.
So there's a set of ballots here that has paper wrapped around it, so we couldn't tell when they were postmarked, but we took it back to the post office and they looked up when it came through and they identified the postmarks on these and they were too late, but that's why these look different. The others just.
So those have a paper in front of each one?
Yep.
Okay. We'll look at those last.
And you can take the rubber bands off of them at this point. It was just by days sticking them.
Okay, I think what I will do is, is there another one? Or
Nope, those are different.
These are all of them, okay. Okay. So this is not 25
So
here.
this is 25.
Okay, let me do this. So I'm going to pass 25 down. Okay, thank you, Renata.
These are 25 X's.
Whoop. So that's it, then. For me, okay.
So we're going to be looking at postmarks.
You're going to be looking at postmarks, and if you see anything that draws your attention that you can't read or you have a question about, pull it out, and then when we're done with the stack, we'll have a discussion. If that's okay, I'm going to set up some procedure here.
So no, it's not, these are not, because these have to be postmarked by April 2nd.
Right, I was just going to say, everybody know what date the election was? Thank you, Cindy. Because sometimes you kind of forget. April 2nd, so anything after April 2nd would be in this pile. Okay, so if you see anything that isn't obvious, I mean, it's pretty obvious on most of these that they say April 3rd, at least my first one. So if you see something that's smudged, pull it out. I'm also seeing some stamps I didn't know existed.
Or are non-existent, you know. So I didn't even have a stamp.
Those don't give stamps.
Renata, did some of, can I ask a question of Renata?
Sure.
Did some of these come through postage due?
There's a whole stack, and you seem to have gotten them.
Yeah.
And I'd have to ask Lois how they came through. I saw them today for the first time, and I thought it was odd as well.
Yeah.
You know, these are all dated the 3rd of April. They may have thought they go to the post office and they'll get them in time. And
It's very possible they put them in on the 2nd and they weren't postmarked till the 3rd.
Exactly right.
So,
After the last pickup of that box.
Yeah.
and it's very obvious on the envelope, it says must be postmarked, you know, by April
Yeah.
2nd. Okay, I'm not quite done yet, so give me a minute.
Well, no, I can't quite read it, so I'm going to have somebody else
The
look at it.
magnifying glass, if anybody thinks that
Oh,
might help.
okay.
We'll have the commissioners look first, and
Does that look
if we
like
need
a
one, we'll let you know, but,
Sometimes it's smudged, and I just hard to see.
Yes.
This is my one.
okay, did anybody have a question about any of them?
Nope, there's not.
Okay, now you need to count them.
Did.
Okay, I did not. That sounds good.
We're working on the other ones.
Okay, did everybody have 25 in theirs?
Yes.
No one had any questions about any of them?
Nope.
Pat, you're still looking at yours?
She's coming.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's 25.
Yep. Now my nose is even.
Okay, you want to put the last one up?
Yeah.
And that way Thank you.
So, there's a set of 25.
Okay, we'll pass those down.
This is a set of 25.
Pass those
These
down.
are now also 25.
Pass this one down as 25.
And this is actually 50, so you could split them.
Okay, why don't you count out 25, you'll take 25 and I'll take 25, and then we'll wait for the rest of these.
And then that's actually 25 as well. And
Okay.
The weird ones.
Okay.
Fifth of April. These are April 5.
If you hold it back further, back here.
Can you make it out?
Yeah, I took it to 03. Ask Joyce to look at it.
This is rather interesting. Look at the wavy lines going across this one for the postmark.
Where was it?
I can't read
Out of
it.
country?
I don't know. But it was postmarked April 3rd. But
So that's just us. What do you think this one is?
I don't know. I'll hold that one out. Okay, count these.
A lot of them are the 5th. See, that's the 5th.
Okay, did anybody have any that were questioned? I know that Cindy has one. Do either of you,
I
Pat?
don't.
I have one.
Oh, it was yours. Okay, Pat?
No, I don't.
Suzanne, no? Cindy, no?
No, and these are all counted.
Okay. All right, and I counted mine too. So we have one that we have a question on. So I could not tell the date on that. Do you want to pass that down? Cindy, you couldn't tell either, right?
I think I have a date.
Okay.
Oh, who are you going with?
I don't want to influence.
My commonality was when I was in Minneapolis. I'd say, go clean, I gotta go home. They'd look at me like,
Wow.
that's okay, it's just jagged.
Well, I think I know what the date is. Try to see what you think. I think it's the 3rd. It's been the stamper thing slipped or something. Yeah. It looks like the 3rd to me.
And this was another 25 here, other than those, or what?
Yeah, I think that's another 25.
We all concur that it's the 3rd.
You all concur that it's the 3rd? Where is it? Is it the first one?
Yes.
Oh, it's this one? Okay, let me pull my glasses up.
I think you actually have to hold it back a little further, 'cause then you're,
Hold it back further and squint, you can get it.
I mean, I know that I need my glasses to read,
I have a
but,
magnifying glass if you'd like.
I don't know if you have.
yeah, you know what? I might do that.
That'll just magnify the stickers.
Okay, I see what you're saying. The farther I get away, then I see it. Okay. All right, I'm in concurrence as well. Okay. All right, here is another set.
Probably need to count.
There, and then these we're going to do individually, so
Okay.
maybe split those two up. Split that pile up between the two of you and just look at them. And then
You have, how many is there in?
25.
we think there's 25, but count them when you're done.
You verify.
These are all individual situations, so we're going to do them individually.
I'm just going to show you that it'll say, most of them are, these would be from Anchorage, it says Alaska. And this is the first time it ran through the Postal Service sorter in
Well, no, I have
Alaska.
12.
Okay.
So, Renata, say that on the record. Okay.
Oh, well, wait a minute.
Okay, when they're done.
When they're done, when they're done, we'll.
Yeah.
Okay, when they're done, we'll do that.
How's the count so far?
Well, let's see, we've got
We were supposed to have 291.
25, 50, 75, 100.
250.
Oh, we got 250.
Yep.
We got 250. 250 so far.
Okay. That sounds like something she would say about something.
And did you count them?
We did.
They're 25? Yes. Okay, so now we have 275 so far. Okay. Okay, these are individual ones because as Renata explained earlier, but I think we should have her explain it again and then we will pass them down. So,
You actually hand me one.
okay, if you want it. Okay. Okay. Well,
I'll give you a different one.
all right, here's a different one. We'll start with this different
I
one.
want an obvious one.
Okay.
Okay, so for most of these, when you look at the envelope, there is no postmark that we can see. But when we take it back to the post office, they can read this barcode down here and do further research.
Got it.
And they will then print out a sheet for each of these. So there are things to notice on the sheet, and some of this is more important in a later category. It'll say Alaska, and then it'll give you a variety of dates here. You're looking for the earliest one, and what that earliest date will tell you is the first time that this envelope ran through the Postal Service in Alaska, if it says Alaska up here. So that's what you're checking for.
Okay. So this one, which I'll pass through first, I'll just explain. This one says that this went through Elmendorf, or I mean EBF. That's not Elmendorf. That's Eielson.
Allison, yeah.
Eielson. This went through Eielson on Thursday, April 4th at 14:44. So like 2:44 in the afternoon, but it was April 4th, so it was 2 days after the election. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass these down, and then you can take a look to make sure there's no postmark on here, and then take a look at the letter that came from the post office, which I think is really very good that the clerk's office is doing due diligence and trying to figure out whether there's no postmark as to actually, since most of us don't realize that, and I mean, I know that, but until you say that, I don't think about it. With the barcode down here, they can pick up that information from the post office. So this is this one. I'm going to pass this one down with a little explanation, so I want everybody to take a look at it, make sure there's no postmark, and make sure that they're in agreement with the date on that.
Madam Chair, I want to make it really clear that the post office has been very kind to do this extra work for us, but they have also made it clear this is not the date that it was mailed. It was the first date that they picked it up in their system. So that's exactly what you said, and I just want to make sure the code says if there's no postmark that, that you typically wouldn't count it, but because we've done this extra due diligence, you may count them if we have this other information that demonstrates that it was mailed before Election Day.
Okay.
Question, does the post office charge us for doing the extra research?
They do not.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start passing them down and have everybody look at it instead of going through each one.
Okay.
You can take a look at it, and if you disagree with the fact that there was no postmark and that it was postmarked prior to Election Day, set it aside and we'll discuss it at the end.
Little small print, but there's the date.
This thing was supposed to be a little full, so.
Yep. Postmark?
It wasn't canceled at all. I could use those things again.
Almost 12:30.
So there's nothing to say that these could have been like dropped.
But 12:45.
I have a question. What is, and the top number here is that, that's the, when it was,
That is the first day that the post office recognized that envelope.
okay, and the second number, date here.
I don't know what that means, but I guess it's just going through the process. It's the first date we're concerned about.
Okay.
All right.
It was probably dropped off on the second.
Yep. Go through the machine.
Until they picked up and then go through the machine. The third. Also, very sad. See, they cared enough to vote. They should care enough to get it there on time. I think it was like for somebody here in the group. And sit in these little wee hours and watch tonight. I think he thought it is.
Daydreaming about that one for a minute.
Okay, here's one more.
What is it? I have no idea.
Well, I have two dogs, and they don't split.
Okay, my question to Barbara was, how do we know that this piece of paper goes with this envelope? And that's the way it came from the post office. So it's not something that we did here. The post office matched this up with that.
Okay.
So it's the post office's determination that those two go together. Okay.
Thank you. I wonder what the second one is.
How many more of these are we have coming?
There were 11 total, I
Okay,
think.
this is 6. Okay.
Now this, so,
I'm not sure. I think I saw 11.
Oh, we're still on this one.
We're in feeling, yeah.
will these people be notified then? Yeah.
These people will be notified that their ballot was received too late?
Yes, through the chair, all of the voters and all ballots that you reject, the voters will be notified with a rejection letter. And I believe that the code says 30 days after certification. It's in your report of canvass. The municipal clerk's office will be sending a notice of ballot rejection to each of the individual voters whose ballot was rejected by the commission, and that is required in 28.85.010D.
Okay, thank you, Barbara.
So a lot of them are out in Anchorage, we haven't seen anything from out of the
Yeah, exactly.
which is what I would have expected more. No, I think it's someplace wherever that is.
Oh, it's a sick man, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
looks like we can cancel.
Yeah, it does.
I never looked at anybody else's, but that came up in the middle of
That
it.
may have been returned for insufficient postage. You know?
Or if it's so dark you can't read the cancellation.
Actually, there is cancellation on there. If you look over here,
There you go.
if you can't determine what it is.
And they say it was April 3rd.
Yeah.
We'll say.
Oh, that's our receipt.
Yeah.
That's like it. For the 8th.
Whoa.
When is that for? Annapolis, Maryland.
That makes more sense.
So then we're way late then.
Well, this is the first that I've received in Anchorage.
Yeah. No, it's not postmarked. That's a weird thing. If it was, how would it get here then if it didn't have
Some just, you know, when they're going through the machines, they probably get caught
slip
together.
through, yeah. So the 5th is the 5.
Yep. Canadian
Canada.
postage stamp.
Okay.
So maybe they
Madam Chair?
question. Suzanne.
Susanna's question, what is it?
This probably will come up in work session. We have one that's marked April 4th that is coming from Annapolis. So it could have taken a day or so to get to Anchorage.
But if it's postmarked April 4th, that's after the election.
In Alaska, it's postmarked April 4th.
But there's no mark. No problem.
You don't know when,
No
when
cancellation
Maryland
mark.
processed it.
So we actually have a set of other ballots. This is one that I must have missed. We have a set of other ballots that went to the post office, and their first time they were seen in Alaska was the 3rd or the 4th, but they came from DC, APO, Alabama, So those we had pulled out for you to consider whether you thought that they might have been postmarked in time, and it took that long to arrive
So this
here.
one could
So we
be-
can add that
There-
one.
We'll
to
put that one in that pile for
There are two,
discussion.
though. There are two.
All right, thank you.
There's another one.
That's on
Remember the one from Maryland?
Canada?
That is this one.
No, that's Annapolis.
That is in Maryland.
Oh, okay, but there's another one.
I'm sorry.
All right.
No, this
There's
is,
a Canadian one.
There's a Canadian one.
Oh.
Go in that same
This one
pile
came
then,
from
I-
Canada.
okay, I'm sorry.
This is another
What's
one
the,
from
and what's the
Canada.
first date on that one then?
Put that one in that pile.
The Canadian one is the 4th. Uh-oh. This is post office, don't know, there.
So you didn't have any date on the front? April 5th.
But that's the Alaska postmark.
Right.
Canada.
Right, but that's, so they were, are you using a cutoff of the,
Let me,
There wasn't any.
is there a cutoff for the 3rd or 4th? Because that's the 5th.
I don't see a postmark on there.
Well, if they put it by dog sled, it could have been anywhere. But this, where is this postmark?
Oh, that's from up in Fairbanks.
April the 5th, so
Right.
if it comes from Canada, then it would have been, it may well have been on time.
Okay, we can discuss this one, but even though if it has a Canadian stamp on it, that doesn't necessarily mean it came from Canada.
I think the address is Canadian as well.
You're right, it is. Okay, didn't catch that. Thank you, Suzanne.
Oh, yes.
Because I was going to say, sometimes people put stamps on that they have in their house no matter where they belong. I have some from Mexico I get abused.
I have some Canadian stamps too.
Okay,
I'd use them in Canada.
all right, we're going to put this one in for discussion.
Here's 13.
You had 13?
Yes.
Do we need to count them again? You're sure it's 13?
Yeah, I had it down out.
Okay, so we have 288. We're going to change the total from 291 to 288.
Are there 3 questionable ones?
There was one that shouldn't have been in here to begin with that was
Actually, I
taken
have a
out.
question about those that you just have there. We have another category that says a postmark received after Election Day. Does the commission think that perhaps that would be a better code for those that didn't have a postmark and went to the post office for more information?
Here,
I think so.
I guess I'd throw that out for discussion. I feel that the post office has provided us information, so I would suggest leaving it in here that, you know, that it was, ballot was postmarked and after Election Day, but I'm going to leave it up for or throw it out for discussion.
For those last 3 that we just pulled apart?
No,
that's
for
bad
this
for
whole,
these.
this 13.
Yes, I think they should.
I think they should stay here.
I agree.
Is everybody in agreement? I mean, this is a work session, so we can make that decision because we're just processing. We're not making any determination about anything other than what category to put them in.
I think that's true.
Okay, all right, we're going to leave them here then. We're going to leave them here.
Okay, so our concern W is this category is ballot postmarked after Election Day.
Right.
We think we put it in the wrong category because there's no postmark on those envelopes.
That's correct.
On any of them?
Well,
No.
On these 13.
On the
these
13.
There are no
13,
postmarks
There's
on
no
there.
postmark. And the post office did provide additional information.
Yes. Maybe they should be moved to
So you're suggesting, Barbara, that we put them under W1 and not
W1,
W?
I think that they should be W1,
I agree.
okay?
Yeah, I agree.
And there's
Okay,
how
we
many?
can do that. We can move that there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then under W, the total's going to be 275.
And what
We
is
can make
W1
that
going to be?
change.
And then where are the 2 that were in W1?
Madam Chair, here are the 2 that are in W1. These ones, and the reason we had them separated, they were just received today. They do have a little barcode on the bottom, but there wasn't time to get information from the post office. So these also.
Well, this one has a receive date on it.
Municipal clerk's date.
Got it.
So these ones are no postmark but received after Election Day. So it's the 2 plus the others that you've received.
So W1 should be 15.
Right.
We moved the 13 from W into W1, and there are 2 that came in
That's correct.
today, so that adds those 2, so 13 plus 2 is 15. Okay.
Anchorage and Eagle River. Eagle River.
Okay, so W is a total of 275, and W1 is a total of 15. Okay, we're just moving them around. We're not
Looking at all these.
making any determination.
They came in today.
Oh, you didn't have
Oh,
time.
okay,
I got you.
That's the muni stamp on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they don't, I can't tell where they're from. Eagle River, so-
They're both Eagle River, but they're too late.
Yep.
Okay, so those are going to go into W1 with the other ones.
Okay? Got it.
Okay, so we've moved them around to different categories to be
Okay.
What do you have
consistent.
for W1 now?
W1 is 15.
Okay, Madam Chair, moving on to W2, we're going to break this into categories because we think you may look at each of them differently. So these envelopes were received in the early afternoon on April 3rd, which was Wednesday, the day after the election. These ballots are from Washington, D.C., Alabama, and New Hampshire. So again, the information from the post office indicates the first time the Alaska district handled them, which was on 4/3. So these ballots, again, have no postmark or an unclear postmark, but the post office has provided us this additional information. So there's 3 in that category.
3.
This is out of the 6 total.
Right.
There are actually
8.
8 that we're going to look at, but we've broken them into the day that they were first registered in Alaska.
Okay, so the one I'm going to pass down is from Washington, D.C., and Anchorage first recorded anything regarding this one on April 3rd at 14:11, which would be,
11 minutes after 2.
Yep, 2:11 in the afternoon. Okay, so I'm going to pass it around for everybody to look at. No postmark, but mailed, but the person lives in Washington, D.C. and was sent there. So I'm going to pass that one down. This is something that we're just going to have to decide later at the canvas, but I want everybody to look at it.
It's likely that it was mailed on time. Yeah.
There's no way for us to determine which of those FedEx planes they were leaving or when they came in.
If it was FedEx.
They carry the mail.
Well, at least we know AL is in Alaska, like some people. I'm serious. When you give that on the phone, they'll go, is that AL? No, that's AK.
So I think one of the funniest ones I heard that the Alabama Bar Association mailed out a mailer to all of the bar members with AK. Arkansas. AK for Arkansas.
I don't think so either.
Oh, that's cute.
I've heard that mix up before.
Okay, so I'm going to pass this one down. This one is from Alabama, no postmark. Well, actually, it looks like there's something at the top, but you can't tell what it is. It looks like
PM.
PM2L. I don't know what that is. But it was first received here in Anchorage on April 3rd at 13:08, which is 1:08. You notice I got to think this military thing in my head. It's like, wait a minute here. I know what that is. Okay.
Use 12 as you're jumping off.
I know that. It's just that it's like my husband says, Joyce, your other right. I'm going left. Like other right. I go, okay, fine, I got it. Tells me that all the time. Okay, the next one I'm passing down is from New Hampshire, and it was recorded in here at 11:47. I can handle that one on April 3rd.
Yeah. Well, it's taking a day. Yeah.
So we'll discuss this at the canvas, but basically what Barbara is saying is that, if we got it here on the 3rd and it was mailed from out of state, most likely it was mailed, even though there's no postmark on there, well before Election Day,
Right.
in order to get here on the 3rd.
Takes 3 or sometimes 4 days, it depends.
So. Okay, so those are those 3. There's one coming back yet, okay.
11:45,
So that's something that we can decide at the canvas whether we would count these or not.
New Hampshire, I say that's a go.
Okay?
That's okay.
Okay, so those are 3 out of the 6. And
It'll be 8.
it'll be 8 because we moved 2
Right.
in this category.
So, Madam Chair, the next subcategory of 3 is those that were received on 4/4, and those are from Alabama, Texas, and an APO address.
Now, which, coming up, just 3 instead of 6?
It's still W-2.
It's going to be 8 because we moved 2 from the other category.
Under W-2 is 8?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So this first one here is from Alabama again. And the post office first received it at 12:56 on April 4th, which is 2 days after. So you might want to take a look at that. That's something we need to think about, even though it was 2 days after it came from Alabama, which probably might have been mailed,
Would have made it.
on the 2nd.
Yeah.
Or before, actually.
Some
So-
of those connecting patterns in the south are pretty slow. I lived there for several years.
Especially if it was in small towns.
Yes.
By the time it gets to.
Yes. I mean, you need to consider, it takes a day for mail to get from Eagle River to Anchorage. You have to add a day because that's the way the picking pattern works.
Definitely.
So,
Yeah. So this is an APO one. The next one I'm sending, that also came in. This came in at 1400, so this came in at 2 o'clock. I got that. 2 o'clock. I don't know why my mind isn't functioning today on that. I'm glad I don't live by military time. And this one is from Tuscaloosa, Texas. This came in on the 4th at 1440, at 240. So these 3 all came in 2 days after, so that's why they're in a different category. But so we need to think about that and discuss that at the canvas, whether they should be accepted.
I'd like a map.
A map? Why?
Just to see where these little
An
towns
atlas
are.
might give us some idea of where they are.
Well, we know what state they're in. I don't think we need to know anything else.
APO's overseas.
And an APO, we don't know where that is, so.
Well, you know it's not here in the Kona. You know, it is in Kona or Alaska.
APO, isn't it usually overseas?
Yes, usually.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the next 3. So we had 3 and 3, and then the other 2. Oh, okay.
The next one is an envelope that was first received in San Francisco on April 5th, but this one came from Canada. So St. John's NL.
Oh, that
So
means
that's
Well, St. John's is right up above, like the Minnesota area.
so.
There you
There
go.
there is that
Isn't
ballot,
it,
Madam
isn't
Chair.
it Eastern St. John's? Newfoundland? It's Newfoundland.
Here, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a
St.
St.
John's, Newfoundland. NL.
That's what it is.
Maybe.
NL.
Oh,
You're right.
Oh, it is. Oh, because I know there's a St. John's up in Minnesota too, because I've been there. I didn't see the NL one. Okay, so this one is on Friday, so that's 3 days after, and it was received here at 1843 for
In San Francisco, you
San
said?
Francisco.
in San Francisco.
From Canada also?
Yes,
Yeah,
this
it's
one is from
Canadian.
Canada. Yes, this is from Canada.
From is that the one you're saying is from Newfoundland?
Yes.
Oh, gosh, yes.
It almost seems to me that if you have an Oconus address, you ought to tag at least one day onto it.
So, well, this is one we saw earlier that we pulled out, so I don't think I'm going to pass it down. This is the one we picked out earlier. Okay. We have to remember that it's from the 5th, so it's Friday.
And
We all saw that
so
one.
This last one, I think you may have seen as well. This is the Annapolis, Maryland one, but we did pull this one because, and we're asking you to evaluate it separately, because it was received on Monday, April 8th. So that's the last category.
It's a little late.
That's a little late.
Very logical.
Okay, I'll pass that one back for everybody to see. Because I know we talked about the one from Canada, and this one I think was more at this end than that end.
I would say so.
Oh, I see.
So that's Monday.
Right. That's pretty long.
It's pretty long stretch, yeah.
So we can make that decision at the canvas meeting at 5:30. And keep in mind, we'll have to have motions at that time to accept ballot envelopes that have been rejected.
So, Madam
And Barbara, we
Chair-
work on a motion and a second at our meetings?
That
A
is
motion
correct.
and a second.
So, Madam Chair,
Some
I
meetings I don't.
did gather some additional information for you. You wanted to know how many we had that were no postmark.
Exactly.
It was, I think it was ballot return envelope postmarked after election day.
Correct.
294 last year.
Okay, so we had 275 this year, so
Yeah, so a
294. Okay.
Okay, so the next category is X, voter not registered. We have 6 ballots in that category. And these were voters who voted at the accessible vote centers, and of course, they had to vote a question ballot because they were not registered. And of course, this will register them. This should be sufficient information for the Commission of Elections to register them to vote.
We're on X, right?
So this means, I'm just going to reiterate for everybody, this means that they were not registered anywhere in the state, so, on the voter files.
Good.
And you might want to check at the top, this one says, have you lived at your present residence at least 30 days? They said no. So they knew that they were not here on that one.
Joke.
No, this one coming up, what was this one?
A note on this one said that they registered after the cutoff date, so you might see some notes on some of them. This one says registered on 3/12.
Then it should be a too late rather than
They came in on election day.
Okay.
Up on the corner?
Yep. Yeah, they registered on 3/12, but it should be a too late, and I placed this in the wrong category.
All right.
So,
Forget the one about registered too late, that's not this category, so.
Are you not using question register lines anymore?
What, Suzanne, I didn't catch that.
I'm not sure, I haven't had add to the ABC. Do they still have a question register? I forgot to put the line on it.
A question register, I'm not sure what,
They do have a question register, but the line is probably not significant.
I just wondered, okay. I have a question.
she just means the one they sign in, right, Barbara? She just meant the one they sign in.
Right.
Okay,
They
I
do-
just didn't
they
pick that up
do,
when she said that.
But we
Okay.
they don't put the line on this where
Right.
they,
Right, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about, yeah. Oh, and there's one more. Thank you.
Yeah, so you do have, there is a line number. But it's not critical.
here. They only get that, but they have it plus. So it's
They're not registered in the state.
Oh, got it. Let me wake up.
says it can be 5.
I'm getting foggy.
Should put 1.
Hmm? Right, we'll count them when we're done.
Go take one. Can we please have a comfort stop? It's been a while.
Have a what?
Can we have a comfort stop? It's been a while.
A comfort break.
Oh, sure, we'll take a break. Why don't you pass those back down and we'll count them and change our total and we'll take a break.
Even the military only makes you sit for 50 minutes. Here you go.
How long is the break?
5 minutes.
Thank you.
5.
Okay, we're changing that total for X to 5. There we go.
I just had to get counterbalance. I brought my cramp pills. I'm good.
Thank you. We're going to change the total on T to 2. We're moving one that was in this category that registered too late from 1 to 2 under T.
From 1 to 2. Okay.
Very well.
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
I don't think of those things. I'm a taskmaster. I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm going to keep videotaping the whole time. We're looking at those 100 and some.
I know.
Or 200 and some.
What the hell is he doing with that footage?
Phew. Okay. Yeah.
You have to turn this off for the break now.
We'll just. Going in for an MRI on it.
You mean?
Yeah. I went into the doctor and she told me I have a torn meniscus and a vapor syndrome. So I was for going in for an MRI.
Well, I have. I'm very good.
Told me I can't handle it. But then when they called me,
So you and
I'm a
no.
well, I had one back.
Everything else. No, I know, but I thought that was
I know, I just feel it more just like, because I'm a neighbor. You need to tell me, I said I'm here. No, that's okay. And I don't. Yeah. But I mean, it's just like, wow.
If you think about how much is in here, think about what much place. I know. Think about, you want to go for archives. Yeah, exactly. No,
Like I said, we can move it.
well, another meeting of
No, and I said, I'm a taskmaster, I can see what those things. No, it's like, okay, I've got this mission. That's
like this version.
Not bad. Yeah. Well, you guys do all the hard work. And then we should have like a system of links or something so you can tell us which way to go.
Yeah. I don't know if we did this stuff with Mark talking to the post office and having you guys look at the later ones too. That's just sitting there trying to figure out, how long is it going to take?
Yeah.
Reasonably.
Really, and then to give the benefit of the doubt as much as possible.
Right, without like going overboard.
Exactly.
And being unfair to everybody else.
In fact, it's already like 5 minutes.
Because, sometimes it does take a while.
Well, we got ballots today that were good, but they were postmarked, but they were postmarked the 30th of March, so,
Exactly. So when you weigh that out.
Right. Well, and some of the others too, that were, there was information on them from the Postal Service. And the vote anchored. Oh, it's not. But we actually know who they mailed them from. Yeah.
You do?
They asked me if I went there, I go, I don't think so.
Nothing we can do if we have no information, but it's still,
Fogging over.
Well, maybe I better go hit the restroom too, if we're going to sit here for another hour.
We're in this hall, we've got the SIGs and the signatures.
I don't think,
And then a few more odd ones at the end.
We have received, the difference between receiving and stand was 1,000.
Right.
If you take out the difference of payments, that was 546. So.
I did too. I forgot my water bottle. Because Glynis forgot hers too.
These are not
Recyclable?
the water is not guaranteed, it doesn't show any kind of,
Wherever it's come from.
well, it says purified drinking water. Well, let's hope it was, because there's no law requirement. And I don't like to drink this.
But you know what it comes from. It'd be nice to know. Oh, it's still recording.
She told me she wouldn't take long when I was standing in line. If I could bring it every day.
She has something.
She was talk to you.
She wasn't really thinking about this job. She was mostly talking about like,
Oh, we're not even at all.
she doesn't know you guys. Give her,
We're just the A's.
yeah. Let her have the movement on. See how scared you get or something.
Red heritage.
I don't think we're on the same
My husband made me this wonderful omelet at about 11:30 with the salmon. Who's that? My husband made me a wonderful omelet at 11:30. He says we're going to eat some food. I thought, well, that was sweet. Yes. Okay, are we ready?
We are.
Okay.
Madam Chair, we are at the Z's. Voter failed to sign ballot envelope. The code requires the voter to sign the ballot envelope or for someone at the ABC to check ID, as we have discussed before, and the voter would sign the voter. There are 77 ballots in this category that voter failed to sign ballot return envelope. Renata did send cure letters to all of these voters, asking them to provide a signature so we could verify it was them. And these are the voters who did not return those cure letters. Anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think there's anything else. We did check to see that people didn't sign the ballot through the secrecy sleeve because some people did that last April and nobody did that this time.
So you'll see that those envelopes are open, and if you wanted to spot check a few, you certainly could.
Okay, we'll pass.
25s?
And Pat and Suzanne, if you want to look at those, and I'll have the two of you look at those.
These in 25?
Yes.
Okay.
Witness. I want to have a witness when the person in the sign.
Let's just check and make sure that there wasn't any signature on the inside.
If you feel we need to open them to look on the inside to see if there's a signature, we'll go ahead and do that.
Can you go ahead and
But
do
they
that?
can't sign. No, we're going to spot check a few.
Yeah, this one we wanted to, just because they had a witness on
Okay.
the outside. Yeah. and we just
Okay.
wanted to see.
All right, we'll spot check a few. I'm not sure we want to open all of them.
Well,
Suzanne?
let me look at one ballot because I wonder if it will make a difference.
I am not understanding your
Just a
comment.
second. Oh, they take the copies. I wonder I can see it. There.
Okay.
I'll tell you in a minute if I know what I'm talking about. Well, that's what I thought. There's no place to sign the ballot anyway. So.
No, there's not.
That's what I was looking at.
Okay, all right.
It wouldn't make any difference if they.
I guess what I would suggest is that you check the back of the envelope to see if they sign the back.
I'll just turn one in for him.
So check the front and the back.
Yeah. Do that.
No, I'm looking at the back.
Oh, for God's sake.
Okay, I've come across one that has a question in my mind. This person signed their name up on the top and not on the bottom. So I think that's something maybe the
Is it a
commission.
signature?
Yes, it's a signature. It's not printed, it's a signature. So Suzanne, are you listening?
Yes.
Okay. This one has a signature on the top, so a lot of times I'll print my name at the top, but this actually has a signature, so I'm just going to hold that one out. Barbara?
Madam Chair, while you're setting that one aside, I don't have it exactly in front of me, but it says the voter declaration. It says, I state under penalty of perjury that my name and signature, and I believe it says on or here. Oh, okay, good. My name and signature are shown on this envelope, and that I'm voting the ballot provided to each the municipality, that I'm a citizen of the U.S. state of Alaska and have been a resident of the municipality for over 30 days, and that I have not, I'm not disqualified from voting due to a felony, and that I have not or will not cast a vote in this election except this ballot. So the declaration is under the fold, and then the signature is here. So we believe that if someone puts their name at the, on the return address, it may not be subscribing to this oath. So we could talk about it more, but that's why we put this in a reject category.
Okay. But I thought I heard you mention earlier that you checked inside to see if they might have signed the secrecy envelope.
You are
so
correct.
To me, that means the same thing.
You are correct.
Okay.
Well, should we sign them all then?
I would set that out.
Just remember to check the back of the envelope, too.
You want us to check for signature on secrecy envelope? Every one of these has a tape right in the center.
No, they said the clerk's office said they did, so I'm good with that.
All right.
It may have been kicked out.
If you want to spot check one or two,
So if we have one that hasn't been opened, it appears that it's not open.
I would open that.
No, it hasn't been opened at all.
Everyone, the ones that are taped right in the
This one is still
That's what I
sealed.
meant. I would open that.
If it's still sealed, then that's one we missed.
I would open that one. Yes, that's what I meant. I would open that one.
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead and open
Ones
it.
with the tape
I'll
on?
let you check.
No,
Okay.
Would you like an opener?
I think so.
Please.
open the ones that are still sealed and don't have tape.
Okay, let's look at this. Keep going.
This one has no tape.
See? Let's see. Thank you. She opened the top of the bottom.
Still, you might want to draw that side. Well, they don't have return address.
I have one here that a witness signed, but not the voter.
We've
So
got a couple.
yeah, so that doesn't suffice. Here's another one.
Nothing on the
Yeah,
back.
we've
No,
had
no.
2 or 3 of those already. Nothing. Okay.
Some are used to, back as they were regular absentee voters that always had to have a signature on the outside. Some people still think that. That's my interpretation.
Claire, question.
Yes?
You have a couple that have witnesses on them and phone numbers, but no voter signatures. You want to do those?
Has to have a voter signature. So
Okay, the return address doesn't mean anything.
not unless they signed. I have one that actually the person signed and not printed, so I was going to bring that up for discussion. But if it's got it doesn't matter if it has an address on the top. It's a signature that's required.
Remember, all of these voters were notified that they did not sign their ballot envelope and that they needed to provide the signature by today at 4:30.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
Well, they guess decided not to.
so she's been notified. And she's had an opportunity to cure us.
Yes.
So, is it's not even worth questioning then, is it?
Well, devil's advocate.
Okay. Did you count your choice?
No.
They were accepting signatures on the outside of a sleeve. They didn't send anything to them.
Okay, did you count yours?
Yes.
Suzanne and Pat?
We'll count it for a second.
Okay.
That was 13, 15, okay. 12. That's 25. Wait. We did. Yeah. Oh. My bad.
But they have had an opportunity to cure.
That's the thing. Were they 25?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, were there any questions? Did you have a question, Cindy and Glennis?
Similar to yours. And that we have what could be considered maybe a signature.
It's obviously an older person. Shaky hand.
Uh-oh.
I guess I wouldn't consider that a
You guys
signature
have
that's
some, right?
printing, but
Calendar
I don't
sheets.
consider that a signature.
Some people have printed signatures of references.
It's obviously an older person. That's a shaky. Up there. Showed you who the candidates are.
So, Suzanne and Pat,
Yes, ma'am.
I have one with a signature on it up on the top, and Glennis has one that has a printed signature. Barbara has said that all of these individuals received what they call a letter to, or a cure letter, and letting them know that there was no signature and they did not respond. So
That's it.
I guess
Exactly.
I guess based on that information, I guess I would agree that neither one of these should be counted, and even though this one looks more like a signature than that one, but we're not signature experts at this point to determine whether that one is or not, so.
Madam Chair, we would have to go verify the signature if you did want us to consider those. I would also point out that on the envelope, it does say voter signature required at the X. Which is another reason for these voters. And that's one of the reasons why we mentioned that we've tried to accommodate voters who are working for voter privacy, and if they've signed on the inside on the ballot or on the secrecy sleeve, we think that's a little bit different than signing the return, because that voter obviously isn't concerned about privacy. They just didn't follow the instruction. So all in all, it is complicated and it's unfortunate. We did talk to the post office about moving the return address from here. It's required. So we couldn't do that.
Okay, so we have 77, and that was what is on the count.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Madam Chair, the next category is Z1, which you have in front of you. Those are no signature match on the ballot return envelope. And as you know, our election workers have been trained by the Washington State Troopers in signature verification. We did the training again a second year. I think some of you attended our training. It's very well done. As you know, if there is a no signature match, it's checked and double checked. And all of these voters received a letter that there was no signature match.
Okay. We will go through and probably just make sure that there is a signature on here, then because they're in the right category at this point. I can't see anything the commission needs to do if they've been checked and double checked and there's no signature match. So I would say let's pass these down, make sure everyone has a signature on it, and count them. And if you think of anything else we should do, any of the commissioners, let me know. But I think that's about all we can do at this point, because we're just here verifying what the staff did. This doesn't look like his name.
Interesting. And you weren't here for that clause.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't.
It was interesting.
I wasn't here for that class, but I know Glennis went to that.
Cindy.
Cindy has. Suzanne, were you there for that? No? Pat? No? Okay. Okay, Renata, I have a question. This one has a label on it, so did this individual also sign on a roster?
No, there was something wrong. So this is an individual who had requested a replacement ballot, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Oh, no, you are. Wait a minute. I'm going to pull it off and look and see what was underneath. Because if it is an ABC, then...
Because he would have signed it in a roster.
They would have signed and showed ID, and that should have been fine. And I think he didn't go through because he had another different ballot ID. Yep, he requested a temporary ballot. This one should be good. He voted at an ABC. Yeah, this one should be good. He voted at an ABC, so I'm going to remove this one. It's a
Okay.
good ballot.
If you,
And we're going to take it because he would have showed ID.
would you
And
go
I
back
didn't
through
see it.
your stacks and see if there are any that have labels on them versus an imprinted stamp on it?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Thank you. That was a good catch.
Okay.
Something that was printed on a label machine versus...
Renata, you want to show them what that looked like?
Yeah, so it looked like this. And then some of them will have labels like this for different reasons, but this one covers up an ABC label.
Oh, I see.
Okay. All right, so double check to make sure there's no label on there.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the stamp would be covering up this. Pre-printed.
Well, you can feel, if you run your hand across it, you can see if it's pre-printed or a label. That would be a good way to do it if you're not sure.
This big
This is
barcode
one.
across there.
No, this is a label. No, it is a label, but it's over a printed ballot, which just means that if you had, for whatever reason, probably the barcode was damaged, so they put a new label on it. You can see there's a printed address underneath. That one just stays in there. That's perfectly fine. That one was a special case because there was no printed address on there at all.
So I'd rather ask than not ask, so that's...
Yeah, go ahead and ask.
Okay, so did you count yours?
I did, this is good.
Okay, and yours is
I've
good?
got something, I don't know what it is here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I know which one this is. Can I have the whole thing? There should be a letter that goes with this.
That's all I saw.
No, there's more. I think that's separated.
Here, Glennis, I'll give you half of these.
Okay. So, this one here, actually, it has a witness signature on it. There is a signature, but in the, and this one actually has multiple issues, and we decided on no signature match for it. The reference signature says that this person is unable to sign, they can only blink. So obviously that cannot be their signature. So we sent them an opportunity to cure letter, and we got it back, undeliverable. Somebody was trying to forward it.
Okay.
So there are multiple issues with this particular ballot. It could go in a different category, but initially we chose to place it and there's no signature match. So if you want to...
Okay, well, I think everybody should probably take a look at that.
all three pieces.
Yeah. I'll look at that. And did you look at that, Cindy?
No, I haven't.
Why don't you look at that while Glennis and I finish our looking at these?
So what is that next thing?
This signature didn't match, which caused the cure letter to be sent. And in this case, the voter can only blink, right? So that's what was inside the envelope. And then when they tried to send the letter to cure, it never got delivered to the address of record.
Yeah.
Is that the same
Well,
address?
I was here when they installed that signature tree, and I watched the tree
That's weird.
on the very first go out. So it was pretty.
This got delivered, but not that.
This one here. Yeah.
Yes.
I think the mailman is at.
Well, it looks to me like
There were 10 here. Did you
Yeah, put them in here, because now I got 23.
instead of 25?
Well, no, this didn't have a rubber band on it. This is separate, so that's why I had 13. Yeah.
she said that.
Why don't you count them to make sure I came up with the right number?
It's not
make it different. I would challenge that.
Okay, are you done now? Are you,
Well,
Yeah, the one that's on top, the one that's on top, the signatures to me look very similar. The only difference is that the official signature, one of the signatures included a middle name.
well, this signature, however, did not match the signature on file with the state.
Oh.
That's what these are.
Okay, well, that's,
Yeah.
unfortunately, they match each other, so.
Okay,
whatever.
so are we dealing with 25 and 25?
Yes, yeah. Well, 25 and 24. She pulled one.
this is the 25 on the.
Oh, which one had the 24 in it?
The top one.
This one?
Yeah.
All right, well then I'll take one off of here because that
Okay.
didn't have 25 in it. So we'll put this way. I didn't have to move that one, but. 22? Did everybody get a chance to look at this one? That had the letter and stuff with it? You didn't? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you have 22 in here?
22.
That's what I thought, okay. Well, we still have that one, so that would make it 23. So we had 148.
Oh, okay, good.
We took one out. I found one that we took out. So we're going to change the total on Z1 to 148.
What?
We're changing the total on Z1 to 148 because I found one that they took out and were counting. Or checking on anyway.
Yeah.
Were they going to count that one? Was that?
Oh, that was going to count.
Okay.
If it comes from an
Oh,
ADC,
okay.
then they have to show ID,
Got
so
it.
they don't have to sign, so it's good.
Okay.
The sticker got withdrawn, so they can see it was an ADC.
Okay.
How was this all put together? Just with a paper clip?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right, so next. Okay, we are down to number 2. Ballot hand delivered after Election Day.
So you can see from the notes on these 2 ballots, one was found in a parking lot at Bartlett, and a citizen brought this in, and the other one was found in a municipal building.
Well, that's rather unique.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad a citizen brought it in. That's very good.
Almost rolled off one.
I wonder why. This is all crossed out.
And here's the one that was found at the municipal building. I'd have to say that is definitely not something I would have ever thought of that would happen. I mean.
Bringing a ballot in that you found.
Yeah.
Is there?
I mean, that is really a very good concerned
Has it been
citizen.
open?
Wait a minute.
This hasn't been opened at all?
No, that was found in the parking lot,
Yeah.
so after Election Day. That's too bad.
There we go.
Okay.
So if they've left it in a.
This probably should have a date up here when it was found.
I don't think it makes any difference.
So this isn't this person's fault. Well, it is if it didn't get. Picked up by the courier.
I'm sorry, what?
We were wondering about this one in particular. In that I haven't read the complete note, but it must have been left in a courier box. Is that right?
Yeah, the courier didn't pick it up.
That is true, and I think you can see from the attached email that the municipal courier's office notified municipal departments that there would be no mail pickup. They noticed everyone twice before this date and asked people to post signs that there would be no mail pickup on Election Day, April 2nd. And they found it on 3rd. And if it had been an error that our courier had made, then I think we would have this, you looking at this in the category of, we received additional information, like from the post office, and technically this was, postmarked on election day because it was put in the stream, but that was not the case because our courier department notified all departments there would be no pickup on election day.
But it says something on there about a substitute courier that had failed to pick it up.
Well, that's what the substitute courier picked it up. Well, the substitute courier saw it the day after election day on the 3rd and did not pick it up on the 3rd. And then on Friday the 5th, I guess whatever day Friday was, she finally picked it up and took it to her supervisor, and then her supervisor contacted Amy and delivered it to us. And then we engaged in this email correspondence with her because we wanted to find out, and that's when we found out we actually have the notice there that there was no mail pickup that date, and people at that location were notified twice.
And then they still put it in there.
Well, we don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So it could be similar to going to the post office and not having it postmarked because, putting it in a mailbox and not having it postmarked till the next day where they dropped it off knowing there wasn't going to be any pickup, but it wasn't picked up till the next day. So similar situation to me.
I think that's a perfect analogy.
Hope it goes.
Okay. So we've got 2 in that category.
Okay. Renata said now they get interesting. So these are some new categories
Wait a minute, I thought they were
created for you this year. There are 8 ballots in the category number 3, ballot voted by someone other than the voter. This code is used when it has been determined that the ballot has been voted by someone other than the voter. And so we'll pass those out for your review.
This is
And maybe, Barbara, you could explain how that was determined. I know there are individual circumstances, but...
So really, if you look at them, the signature doesn't match the person it's addressed to.
Well, the first one I'm looking at is very obvious, so I was assuming that's what it was. Okay.
Most of them are fairly obvious in that respect.
Okay. All right. So I definitely see that this signature does not match the name on the ballot.
Mm-hmm. There's one in there where the signature is going to look like matches the name because mom voted the daughter's ballot by mistake. So she requested a replacement ballot and she voted that. Her daughter is out of state, doesn't live here anymore.
Okay. This one I was going to say looks like 3 different people, but I see that you made a note that last name is the way it's printed up at the top. Otherwise, I was going to say look like 3 different people had this ballot. Okay, so we've got that one.
And we also want to let you know that households do switch ballots. Husbands vote wives, wives vote husbands, mothers vote children's, and we have had a variety of those situations. But we hold those ballots. Renata has a hold bin, and we look for the other ballot. If husband votes wife and wife votes husband, we count it because they just swapped envelopes. These are not those situations.
Yeah.
This one I'm going to pass down says, it looks like a female voted a male's ballot and put an X and said that it was because of the out of state and they called them. So this one's got a different name. This one has a different name.
Well, this one, you can't count these.
No, these are not being.
These aren't being counted.
These are in the reject
Right.
ones.
These are
And we see why.
number 3. That's interesting. How did they get these ballots?
This one voted somebody else's ballot and crossed out the voter's name.
Oh, good Lord. This is pretty weird.
This one
One
voted
case-
somebody else's ballot and crossed out the voter's name.
They could have received the ballot that was sent to somebody else who doesn't live there any longer. They go ahead and
Use
vote
the
for it.
ballot, and yeah.
Which is exactly what happened here.
Yeah.
In some ways, you kind of have to give them credit for exercising their civic responsibility and duty, but it's not the right way to do
You have to
it.
get so creative about it. See, this negates my argument. When I told some of my friends that there's no way somebody can steal your ballot, well.
Well,
I think the issue is a little bit different, and it's
Yes.
when someone does vote someone else's ballot, we catch it.
Yeah, I
exactly.
understand.
I was just going to say that.
Thank you.
And that's with the checks and balances that are set up with the system to be able to do that. And there should be 8, Suzanne.
There are 8.
Okay. Pass them back.
So how many are there? 2, 6, 8.
Okay, we are now on page 4.
Okay, we told you these were getting a little harder. We're at Regent Code number 6, household signature issue. And we're going to talk to you about these in 2 separate categories. And you may wish to transfer these to that last category, number 3, ballot voted by someone other than the voter. So we'll talk to you about those.
So this first set is a man and a woman, same last name, same address, and they sign each other's ballot envelopes, which isn't normally a problem, except that the woman is an ID required person and did not include ID. We actually opened up both ballots just to make sure that it wasn't a one or the other. So she didn't provide ID, but he's a perfectly valid voter. So I'll send those down, and they just swap ballots.
So Renata is telling you, you could count one of these.
Yeah.
You could tell us to count one, but then you could reject the other.
I think that's the
That's only for the candidates to be on.
Okay, so
They always surprise. If somebody says,
I would say we could count one.
I think so.
I would go for that. I would go for counting one of them.
I was just thinking about that while I was holding them. Hopefully that they didn't just pick up an envelope and sign it and not realize what it was. We had that their ballot is in there, but we don't know that. But it's getting to the benefit of the ballot.
So which one do you choose to vote, to count?
I would go by the signatures.
they did open up. That's the difference.
I would go by
Our
the
discussion is whether or not she.
Yeah, but that still doesn't.
Well, no, we know which one is in the ID. You can tell us.
Oh, I see, it's about.
Yeah.
Question?
Yes, Suzanne?
If we are waiting on the ID from the other party, is there any way that we can hold this one to count?
No.
No.
The cure letters, the deadline for the cure letters is 4:30 today. It's before the start of the public session of Canvas. So
if there's no
anything
cure letter
received.
reply, then it's gone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last.
She said if there's no cure letter, then it's rejected, and that's correct.
Yeah.
If there's no response to the
Right,
cure
that's what I meant, if
letters.
there's no response,
Correct.
by 4:30.
Thank you.
So the question that I think that we might have then is, you would know which one of these two needed ID.
The woman needed to show ID.
Okay.
It says.
So then the question becomes from the commission, you know, if we decided, and we can discuss this now and bring it up again at the canvas, if the commission decides to accept one of these, would you accept the one with the printed name on it or the signature name on it? You see what I mean?
Madam Chair, our recommendation is we need you to accept the one with the man's signature on it. It has his signature. We assume that is his voted ballot. Typically, what we would do in this circumstance is put a label over the barcode with his name and ballot ID so that it could be accepted.
Okay, great. So that's what you normally do when there's two in the same household that just put their ballots in the wrong envelope, or signed the wrong envelopes. You would do the one with the signature. You would go with the signature and change the label to match the signature. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Madam Chair, there's two different circumstances. So in a swap, we have, when we're doing signature verification, it can be good, no signature match, and then we have household signature. So if we're looking at it, we can verify signature with the wrong envelope, and it just goes through. It's a household signature. We could have done that with this, and then they would just stay in the wrong envelopes. It doesn't matter because they match, right? There's a match set. But where there's not a match set, you have to put a label on it or he will not get credit for voting.
Okay, just wanted to clarify the process. Okay. So that's something that we can think about, and if it's the male that would be accepted because he already has provided ID or whether whenever, that's something that we can think about. I don't know, I feel like the commission is kind of saying yes, we should probably accept that one. Okay, that's something we'll discuss again at the canvas then. Okay?
So the next set I'm giving you is again another husband and wife household swap where his name is on her ballot and hers is on his. And the reason this one was flagged is that the signature verification team, after carefully looking at the signatures, came to the conclusion that he signed both envelopes. So we are giving you the reference signatures as well as the envelopes to take a look at these.
Okay. Okay. Okay, here is the female signature. And here is his signature, which to me that definitely, do you notice this part right here? Right here? That all matches. So it definitely looks like
The same person.
the male signed both, and she did not because her signature has that loop for the W, and we don't see that there. And she has a loop here. She has a loop here, a loop here, and a loop here. You see what I mean?
And she signed it full Mary, whereas this is just initial.
Right. Doesn't say the name. Yep. All right. Already. So upset with myself for doing that. They're going to take it out of the tape. Okay. I would say I agree that it looks like the male signed both of them. Okay.
That's definitely his.
And look at the size, too.
Okay.
That there.
We'll have a
comparative signatures of both of them. So you have the reference signatures on these sheets and the actual signature.
Okay.
This is Mary.
Just remember not to use names like,
Yeah, we're not.
okay,
Like we
which I,
imaginable names.
okay?
A little dyslexia. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Let's take a look at, oh, yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. However, now that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I see. Yeah, agreed.
You're okay with that?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, that was under 6.
Okay, I told you they were tough. Here's your next tough one. Our accessible vote center workers flagged this for us because this was a father and son, and they observed the father voting the son's ballot.
We cannot hear you down here.
Use the microphone. Oh,
The election workers at the Accessible Vote Center observed the father voting the son's ballot while the son stood outside the ballot booth the entire time. So here are both of those 2 ballots.
Are we still on 6?
yes, we are.
No,
These are-
No, we're on 7.
I mean, I'm sorry, we're on
this
7.
is 7.
Oh,
So were cure letters sent to this?
No,
we still had a total.
this is not curable.
Okay.
We still had a total of 4 for number 6. Or
Yes,
3?
we did.
4 or 3?
No, we had 4. 2 and 2.
We haven't made that decision yet.
Okay, go ahead.
Label. Then we contact somebody.
Okay, 3. Great. Okay.
If the father voted for,
Or to just accept his.
no. God. If there was what do you think? It's a hard one.
Well, which one is he? You're general.
Doesn't matter.
They're the same,
You're saying who is who?
but did they vote the same on both ballots?
We didn't check the ballots, no.
You probably should, because if they voted the same, then you can only have 1 count, but if they voted differently, you have to throw them both out, because you don't know who voted what.
I understand that, that's what we were talking about.
I'm gonna check.
I don't know.
Let me look at it again.
Actually, I think you got something both out. It doesn't seem right.
If the father ballot should count, the other one shouldn't.
Agreed.
I don't know.
So what is the discussion of the commission?
Should we check the
Well, we're
ballots?
discussing whose ballot it is that should count. If the father voted for the son, should his vote count and his son's not?
You have to, the one with the signature, his signature on it will be the one that would count. You have to drop the other ones, but.
Do we know which one is the father and the son?
Well, one of them has a suffix after, I believe that's a suffix.
That would be a suffix.
So there's a
we-
suffix after one of them, so that apparently would be
one of them
the
a
son.
junior?
We can certainly look up the ballot
And we can
IDs
look at
and check
that.
birth dates.
Yeah.
I would suggest checking the birth dates and not
Yeah.
just, not go just by,
The suffix.
yeah,
We'll do
at the
that.
end, yeah.
One of them's either a senior or a junior. That's it.
No, that's not it, but we can still check.
Sorry.
Yeah, we can check that. We have the.
But one of them is,
Why don't you do that and we'll have a discussion about that.
Okay.
then. Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioners, we'd also like your permission. During our meeting in the last 5 minutes, a voter brought in a cure letter, and she provided a signature for her ballot return envelope. So we'd like to change the category Z from 77 to 76.
Z.
Z?
Yes.
Great.
Z. Zebra. Z.
Oh, that was a lady.
From 77 to 76, that's fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah.
She just made it.
It's supposed to work. Wow.
Wow, good.
Hey, that's the way, it does work, it does work, yes.
If the voter is dedicated enough.
I like that, I like that.
20 minutes to spare.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we can move on to 8.
So we are now in 8.
Code 8.
This is kind of an interesting ballot envelope. The ballot was signed by someone other than the voter. There's a printed witness name at the bottom that's someone other than the voter. And then the voter has his return address at the top. It is my understanding that these people all have the same last name, but that the person who actually signed is not a Municipality of Anchorage voter. Is that correct?
He's registered in a Nilchik.
Okay, so it's a little complicated, but that's why this one is all by itself in this category 8. Okay. Good.
Oh my gosh.
Question. In the particular case that we are going to be reviewing, will there be a letter sent then to the rejected ballot?
We have kind of been having a little sidebar over here about that. So the son has the suffix, so that will, you can tell that from those envelopes. The question is, and there are several schools of thought. One school of thought is that both ballots should be rejected because someone voted someone else's ballot. The other one is the person who voted their ballot should count, and then you reject the other person's ballot that person voted. And then for us, we would do a letter to the person whose ballot didn't count, of course, and say that your ballot was voted by someone other than you. The question is, can we send a letter to the person who voted those ballots? And Renata and I feel that feels a little bit problematic for us. We don't think that we have enough information to make that sort of a statement. I think that the letter itself says, and we have already sent one, that says that voting someone else's ballot is an election offense. It could be referred to APD and the municipal prosecutor. And that would be our recommendation and preference. We'll probably consult with legal, but
would have been my
as long
recommendation
as
as well.
I'm sorry,
That would have been my recommendation as well, to
Yeah.
consult with legal in this instance, because voting someone's ballot definitely is a violation of, I don't know what state code, but there is a violation if someone votes somebody else's ballot. So I agree with that. Okay. So,
I think they should both be thrown out.
okay, those can go back in the pile for discussion later then at the Canvas. I think we're kind of in agreement what we would do.
Yeah.
Barbara, could you explain this one again? Because now that I'm looking at it, I'm
Sorry.
still a little confused. So if
Sorry, I detracted from that, so I apologize.
so Barbara needs to explain this again.
There's 3 names on this ballot. The voter's name is in the return address, and the voter's name is in the pre-printed inkjetted address. But someone else signed it and signed as the witness. That person is registered in Milchik. But then someone else signed underneath as the witness. So this is one of those ones that you could reject voter not registered or ballot voted by someone other than voter, which that's category 3, which is what we think it should be. But we wanted to bring this to your attention because it was pretty unusual, complicated.
Okay, my take on this is that the person who signed it and the witness are the same person. The signatures look the same to me.
Printed name looks different.
Did you say the voter was registered?
The voter is registered in Anchorage.
This
The person who
Yes.
signed it,
And the other thing I want to point out is that there is a mark next to the X, so if somebody was going to witness, the voter would make the mark and then the witness would sign. So you have a mark, and then you have
That's
a
what I mean.
witness who signed on the voter line and on the witness line, and then there is a printed name of yet another
Got
household
it.
member printed underneath the witness signature.
Maybe they took the ballot and went to Milchik for the weekend?
Well, Barbara,
No, they're
could you
registered in
explain
the
what the requirements are for someone who can't sign their name and what they need to do for us, please? You want to listen to this, Pat and
Yes.
Suzanne? Just listen for a
If a
second.
voter can't sign their name, a voter can make a mark, and then a witness has to witness the voter making the mark.
The mark.
Just the mark. Okay.
Well, it could be.
Well,
Perhaps you have someone who actually can't read. Involved in this somehow or other.
There is special needs voting, and we have lots of opportunities to that. We have our voter hotline where we can talk to people, and all of the people at our accessible vote centers are trained to assist voters and could have assisted a voter with this, either at the accessible vote center or on the telephone.
Well, I had occasion when I was working the polls to actually read a ballot to someone who was illiterate.
And Suzanne, I don't see a problem with that. I think the problem we're looking at is the
it's the
signature.
signatures, yeah, I
Right,
understand.
right.
Well, it seems to me that the fellow who signed it and the fellow who witnessed it down here have the same basic signature.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And then there's another witness. So I don't know that there's a problem with that.
The person that signed and the witness are not the voter.
Okay.
so this address and this ballot package belongs to this person,
Yes.
but this person actually signed.
Yeah, but here's the mark.
You don't know whose mark that is. That's the problem.
Well, how do you ever choose a mark?
That's pretty complicated. Pretty much of a access. I don't know how you're going to justify accepting that.
So the bottom line question then is, the person looks like they made a mark or not. It looks like an asterisk to me versus a mark, but
I wouldn't know what an official mark would be.
I don't either. I guess if I was going to make a mark and couldn't write, I'm not sure I'd have the
people
whatever
make an X.
to make an asterisk, but that's just for me. So the question is, would we accept this because there is a witness, but the witness did not print their name, so we don't know who the witness is, so they didn't follow the instructions. Somebody else printed their name. I guess my first thought is that I might have had an inclination if this last name, which looks like it might be the same as this person's name, if they had printed their name there, but they didn't. So I feel that somebody else did, and so it says witness signature and witness printed here, and that's not what they did. So in my estimation, I would reject this just for that reason, because we need to be consistent across the board.
Yeah. Question, Madam Chair.
Yes?
Was there a cure letter sent with this conundrum?
No.
Or did it require one? I don't know.
It wouldn't have required a cure letter.
And we can discuss this further at the canvas, but that would be my take on it, is that should not have signed there and should have printed their name there. So we don't know who that witness is because we don't have a printed name. So that would be my take on it.
And then, would it be stay in this category, or would it move if we?
I think it should stay in that category. I don't see anything to match this.
So it would be. Barbara was suggesting it could move to category 3.
Right, ballot voted by someone other than the voter.
You don't know who voted that ballot.
No.
I think it should stay in its own category. This is pretty much hash.
It's a new category. We just made it up so we could, for discussion purposes. I think one of the other problems with this is that when printed witness name is, it doesn't match the voter's name. Again, it's just very odd.
You know, I probably would move it to inadequate witnessing under Y, because it is an inadequate witnessing because the voter did not include their printed name, and that makes it more clear as to really what the issue was. At least that would be my suggestion. Which would be Y, inadequate witnessing.
I would tend to agree with you on that.
Yeah? Well, let's move it to inadequate witnessing and put a 1 there, and
Delete the one on
delete
8.
8.
Okay?
We don't even need that code.
All right, good. It's just a temporary
Right.
for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Last one. We're doing good. I think.
So far.
Okay, last one. Go ahead, Barbara.
Madam Chair, the last new category, which we'll probably leave, is envelopes signed by power of attorney. So you can take a look at all of these, and all of these voters have indicated that this is a power of attorney for someone else. Powers of attorney can do certain things. Special powers of attorneys can register you to vote. They can request an absentee ballot, but they cannot vote. And so we believe these need to be rejected.
General power of attorney, can they vote you?
No, she just said that the law.
You said special, I said general.
I don't think any power of attorney can allow you to vote, right?
Okay.
There's no power of attorney that can allow you to
They
vote.
could have had a special, they could have taken a special needs ballot. And,
Correct.
yes.
Instead of doing this.
And Cindy was saying they could have done a special needs
Special
ballot.
needs.
Yeah, in order to. And these all say POA on them, so they all say power of attorney. Okay. Well, we've made some changes. We caught a couple ballots that were counted. I love that. That's what these work sessions are for, to go over all of the enormous amount of work that's done by the clerk's office.
This one doesn't say power of attorney on it. It's this one.
It says
Co-conservative.
yes, a conservative.
Co-guardian.
Yes. So. Well, I want to thank, I'll do this at the canvas too, but I want to thank Barbara and their staff for putting all this together and going through this and making sure that everyone has the opportunity to vote, that should have the opportunity to vote, and those that are in question, that's what we're here for. So I would say at this point, when you're done looking at that, we will adjourn the meeting and take a break. We're done?
I have a question.
Pat, you have a question?
It's just a general question. If someone is unable to vote themselves, who would have power to vote for them?
Through the chair, that is a great question. And I did ask the Assembly Council, who's going to be here for the public session of Canvas, to be prepared for issues regarding power of attorney. But my interpretation of that is that voting, like speech, is an individual right. It's my right. But it's not a right that I can share with someone. So I can't give someone else my right to free speech. But it's an individual right. And I think we can understand that, because what would that mean with voting if people who were unable to complete the ballot themselves couldn't vote? But the answer is what Cindy said. It's you vote a special needs ballot. So and interestingly, the oath on a special needs ballot specifically says, I swear that I did not vote this ballot for this person. So there is no opportunity, if you are not capable of voting, you on your own or with some assistance, you probably, and I think we can understand that. I did have a fellow who was a paraplegic who actually called me on the phone and said that he had voted and dropped his ballot off at the Service High parking lot, but he had a question and he wanted me to call him back, and he said, well, wait until 10:30 because my personal assistant isn't here until then. So he was capable of voting and communicating and understanding. So I do think that there are lots of opportunities for people who have physical disabilities to vote, but I think it's very clear that someone can't vote for that person.
Okay, I'm not arguing, I'm just questioning things. Since this is a mail-out ballot, this person would have to go where to get ABC?
Well, nowhere. They would have to call 243-VOTE, and our office would assign a person to deliver the special needs ballot to them. And in the past, we have had employees from the clerk's office. They've gone to the hospitals. They've gone to St. Elias Urgent Care Center and gowned up. And they go in and they can assist people voting. And it is very complicated. Sometimes they have to help someone hold the pen, but the person still has to vote. And then they can make their mark as an X, and then it's witnessed. Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, if there are no further questions, we are going to adjourn, and it is adjourning at 4:30, 4:32.